Okay, good evening, lady and gentlemen.
That's no lady, that's my wife.
First item is a 90-day extension, 550 Riverview, 552 River Road. But as we get underway, let me make an announcement, please. Items number 5, 64 Hawthorne Street.
4.
4, thank you. 81 Byram Shore Road, postponed. 64 Hawthorne Street North, postponed. 200 Greenwich Avenue, items 7 and 8, postponed. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Larry Liebman representing the applicants. We're requesting an extension to file the Mylar for 90 days for the River Road subdivision.
Okay. Comments, anybody? Public comment?
I would move the extension for 90 days.
And I would second it.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you and good night.
Next item is Harvard Time Assembly of God, 1338 King Street.
Yes, good evening. We've just put in an application. We want to put up a 24 by 32 tent for 1 month to use for a summertime program that we're running in the month of July. And so we understand that if we have a tent up for more than 2 weeks, it requires approval from the zoning commission.
Okay, thank you. Comments? Any comments?
We just were going to ask you a few things on it. It's only for use by members of your congregation, that the size that you gave us is the size that you're going to stick with, that the start and end times are exactly as you put them forward, all that. One thing, did we check, is it 5 parking spaces or 4 that you lose?
It's 4 that's indicated in the documents, and I'm sorry, I didn't count.
Somebody said it was 5, so we'll just say maybe not more than 5.
Because it looks like it was 4, except that but the 5th one looks like it wouldn't be very difficult to actually use.
Okay.
So we sort of said it was 5. But one document had said 4 and another said 5.
We didn't hear that. 5 what?
Parking spaces.
Parking spaces, I'm sorry,
That
Fred.
the tent is taking up. And then when will the tent be in use? It's outside of when there's.
Yeah, it's going to be used on Wednesday evenings
From
from
6 to
7 to 8:30 p.m.
7? Will they
7
probably get there earlier, maybe?
Yeah, I
Why
mean.
don't we just say 6 to 8:30?
Yeah, that would be fine, yeah.
Because there's 6 to 8 is what it says on the application.
Why are we getting into this
Yeah,
at
I
all?
don't know that we
Why are
would
we
get
getting
into that.
Well, I was just asking.
get into any of this?
I
Just
was
because it's what's on the application.
And
we're
I
just
wanted
making
to know to
they're
make
okay.
sure it wasn't coincident with when they have their services. So if they're taking up parking, to make sure that they have parking adequate.
You don't
for-
think you have the intelligence to do it that way? Huh?
Well, it'll happen de facto based on when they're planning to use the tent.
Okay.
Any comments from the public?
Here's the Republic.
Any other comments from the commission?
No.
Have a motion?
I would move the approval of the temporary permit for the tent
And I second.
of a size and a time frame in the application.
24 by 32 for a period of 3 weeks, July 10 to July 28, from 6 to 8:30 p.m. on Wednesday nights, which will occupy not more than 5 parking spaces. Second, Fred.
You okay with
As
what?
amended.
Excuse me, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item number 30, final coastal site plan, 40 West Way.
Good evening, David Ginter from firm Redness and Mead, here on behalf of the client. With me tonight is Michelle and Alexander Colby, the architects from Eva Domus. If you have any questions regarding architecture, they'd be more than happy to speak to you
Could
this
I
evening.
suggest you lift up the mic a little bit? Thank you.
Is that better?
Or lean down and kneel down.
Not that too. The property, the application in front of you tonight is a .66 acre parcel in the R20 zone with a single-family residence existing on the property. We are proposing to raise the residence and construct a new two-story residence meeting all of the FEMA flood elevations. The property does lie within the VE16 and AE13 zones, and the existing residence is currently about 4 feet below first floor elevation, or below the AE13 zone elevation. The new residence will be approximately 5,800 square feet with open jointed decks on the west side of the property, a swimming pool in the northwest corner, and a gravel driveway in the front. From a drainage standpoint, we are proposing the gravel driveway to provide water quality treatment and some groundwater infiltration, as well as to reduce the peak flows leaving the property towards West Way. The remainder of the property will be piped to the edge of the retaining walls supporting the deck, where it is able to sheet flow across the west lawn out towards Long Island Sound. We have seen Mr. Marucci's comments, which I think came in after the staff report was written. I'm presuming that you have all received them. We've reviewed them and have no issues with any of the comments that he has on this application. We have seen and coordinated with the DEP regarding flood vents and have no issue adding more flood vents to appease their comments. The design that we do have in front of you now does meet the minimum required per the Town of Greenwich regulations, but again, have no problems adding more flood vents or making them bigger. Additionally, we have no problem with having a condition of approval or a condition added indicating that if any changes are made to the development in the future, that a review occur to verify that the flood vents and flood venting has not changed. It is my understanding that the owners of the property have started the request for a certificate of permission from the DEP for the dock. So we are addressing that comment from DEP as well. I think the biggest item I noted or saw in the staff report was to address some comments made by the ZEO. This morning I went down and met with ZEO staff, and I think we've addressed all of their comments. The first comment that he had was the proposed deck is taller than 3 feet and must comply with principal setbacks. The decks over, in the northwest corner in this area here are less than 3 feet tall, and as I understand are permitted to encroach in the principal setbacks. The decks in the rear of the property here are elevated more than 3 feet, but we do have a planter around the one corner that does encroach into the setback, and staff indicated today that that is acceptable. Proposed eaves must comply with section 6128 was another comment they had. Again, we think it was in reference to this corner here on the western side of the property where the eave does encroach into the setback. I think what we've determined today in talking with staff is because of the uniqueness of this property, it was tough to determine where the rear of the building was, and this pink line represents the line that is rear of the building to determine where we can apply accessory structure setbacks, and I think the ZEO was using that line and assuming that was the primary structure setback line. In reviewing that today with staff, we determined that the yellow line is the primary structure setback, and we are in conformance with setbacks for those two items. And again, we have no issues. Our flood vents, as far as we understand, meet the regulations, but we'll review that with ZEO staff upon building permit review.
Did you get the sewer department's comment regarding your installation of your lateral?
I have not seen a sewer department comment.
That just came in, so.
This just came in.
Okay.
And P&Z staff has confirmed what Mr. Ginters has represented regarding the conversation with the zoning enforcement officer. So we've spoken to Mr. Kuchar also and agree with your comments.
Thank you.
Basically, what sewer was saying is that they don't like to have you cutting new holes in their manhole. And apparently this is entering the manhole there at a different location. It's the second bullet. There's other things here, but the second bullet is what I'm referring to.
That's fine. We'll coordinate with DPW staff, and we have no issues going with the same location.
That's good.
I just had, there was a comment from staff regarding the depth of soil in your green roof. Can you comment on that, and how deep is it?
I'll turn that over to the architects here.
Before you leave, on the, if you're, sorry, and I think you're the person who knows, but if you're, do you know about the landscaping and the tree removal? A little
Is that
bit.
the question?
If you're facing the property from Westway, there's two very large trees, one on the side right of the house and the other one almost on the water. Now, both of those are going, right? And are you replacing, she's nodding over there, so I think that maybe, and then, so those are gorgeous trees, and one of them was so close to the edge of the deck, I was wondering if there was any way you could keep it, because both of those are just beautiful.
Are you referring to?
You're on Westway, so.
Yep.
Yeah, and now look at the house and go to your right, and there's a big tree to your right rear. Go to the rear of the house. Yeah, like right in there, you can see it says tree to be removed and tree to be removed.
I'm assuming
And
you're referring to,
they're
there's a
both
26-inch one that's going to be removed over here.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a beautiful tree, and it's so close to the edge of the deck, I was wondering if there's any way it could be saved, because it's so pretty.
It's the pool.
Oh, and the swimming pool.
Sorry. Hello, I'm Michelle
Yeah.
Kolba.
You better say who you are first,
It's
please.
just that those are two really very nice trees on the right-hand side of the house there that are being
You
lost.
can talk to the client
What is your
about
name,
it.
please?
I'm Michelle Kolba from Everdomus. Michelle Kolba.
You're the architect?
Yes.
Okay,
The client does want an in-ground swimming pool.
yeah.
I can talk to him about that, about the possibility. It's unfortunately that is right now the only place that we can fit that
Or
pool.
maybe just think about, I couldn't find a real landscape plan.
Not yet. Not yet.
So, or maybe just think about putting in trees that'll eventually become of that caliber.
Yes.
My other landscaping issue that I couldn't tell is that there's a significant amount of screening on the, if you're to this neighbor here, you're keeping 3 of those screening trees, but there's some that are going away, and it seemed like the neighbor might really appreciate keeping the screening that they have today and wouldn't want to lose it all.
Okay.
So I think maybe if staff could make sure that the landscape plan
Takes that into
looks at the
consideration.
existing screening and reincorporates
Okay.
that,
Yeah.
because it might be important to them, because those houses are,
Okay.
Close.
okay?
Okay.
Yes.
Richard, you had something you wanted to say?
Yeah.
He's waiting for the architect, and there she is.
Go ahead.
The question was relating to the soil depth of the green roof.
Green roof.
Yes.
Talk a little, because there were no sections or anything in your
No,
drawings.
no.
that-
Usually it was 15 centimeters in Germany, so it's going to be about 6 inches.
We
But,
don't-
no, it was 6 inches, but it can be any depth. There are many depth. That's the minimum depth that you can use for a certain type of
Hedges, I
natural.
noticed you've got hedges
Those would
going
be
there.
in planters.
Well, those are in
Those would be in
planters. So the
planters.
did they create the green roof? I mean, did they create one border of the green roof?
Yes,
or-
yes. The perimeter would be.
So the perimeter is, those planters are built up?
Yes.
As a part of the structure?
Yes,
And-
on top of the structure, on top of the garage itself.
All right, but well, okay, so they're movable?
Theoretically, they would be movable
That's-
with the
I
crane.
mean, what about any
Storm.
leakage of soil or anything out, but what would make them tight, watertight to even,
There's, it's a membrane roof,
I know,
Yeah,
right.
and then those planters would be on top.
What happens in a hurricane?
We would make sure that they're not going to tip over. I mean, the hedges, we would have to do that with the garden planner who does the green roof to see what type of hedges and how high they can be and what soil depth would be necessary. I'm not imagining this high of a planter, but it would be necessary than the 6 inches that the sedum that the normal grass would require in the center of the garage.
One last question. I assume they're irrigated?
Yes.
The seawall. It looks like it's been repaired already, that there was a significant amount of work that was done. There's no future work contemplated at this
No,
time on
no.
the seawall?
No.
Or on the dock?
Or on the dock.
Okay.
No.
And that's, I got that a little bit from Deep, but the seawall looks like it's been re-cemented in places, and it looks like it's in great shape, so.
We have not been given that scope to touch anything on the seawall.
Oh, but you've been on the site?
Yes.
And you've probably seen that?
Yes, it
Okay.
looks in absolutely fine
All right.
shape.
Did you have another question?
No.
So, did you get the sewer
Okay.
answer?
Any other comments from anybody? Yeah.
Got a couple. So who to address these questions?
That's right. Is your light on?
Thank you. You said you're willing to do more venting. Can you be specific about that, what you would intend to do?
Well, we'll reach out to DEP staff to get a sense of how much more venting they are looking for. I mean, if the number is 25% more, whatever they request, we would have no problem providing that much more venting. I don't know. I don't have a number for you that I can
Okay.
tell you right now.
All right, but you're prepared to comply with his?
Yes, certainly.
Okay, because he seemed concerned about this outside wall being rather anomalous and creating a space between.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, again, the way that we designed the flood venting was to take a look at what was the interior space, so that outermost wall is able to vent and meet the requirements of the entire footprint of the house. So I think from that standpoint, I think we've provided more than probably would be
I
needed on that
understand that.
exterior. But if
Yeah.
the DEP's looking for more, again, we have no problem providing
Okay.
additional.
One of our staff comments was that there's no formal grade plane. Is that
That's
a problem?
I don't think it's absolutely necessary. I just kind of noted it in there. Looking at the grades that were surrounding the house, they look lower than the flood zone grade plane. And that's one of the criteria that we have, is typically we require the regular grade plane as well as be able to know what the flood zone grade plane is, because we apply the higher of the two. In your situation, the grades mostly were between 8 and 6 around the house, so I don't think there was much of an issue.
Okay, so that's not something we
wouldn't
still
worry
need
about
to
it.
worry about. I think it's my understanding that the subject of docks is not within our jurisdiction. Is that right?
Well, as they connect to the land, it is within our jurisdiction, but the dock itself is not something that we review, but the connection to the land is.
Okay.
And usually we handle those things administratively with an administrative coastal application once they've obtained the approval from the DEP. But I understood on this one that the Goucher had said that there's a historic reference to it. So
Right.
as such, it is an allowable structure.
Okay, so not something we have to deal with, but it is within our purview.
Right, as it connects to the land, yes.
Okay. Okay, I think that was everything I had. Thank you.
You okay? Anybody else? Anybody else comments? Any comments from the public? Okay.
I would move the approval of the final coastal site plan. Thank you. Incorporating the comments of the town departments and staff. Additionally, acknowledging that the applicant has said they will work with DEEP and satisfy them on the number of flood vents required, and that they will produce a landscaping plan that staff will review.
That they will coordinate with the sewer department on,
Departmental comments.
yes.
Okay,
And
second.
did you want to go as far as to say that the
All those-
landscaping
all-
should mimic the existing conditions as best
Yeah,
as possible in terms of the screening?
And to try to reinstitute some of the, large caliper trees with native species, et cetera.
Okay,
And
all those in favor say aye.
I'm still
Aye.
working.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Were you trying to go home or something?
Item number 4, 81 Byram Shore Road, has been postponed. Ditto for item number 5, 64 Hawthorne Street North. We now in a public hearing. First item on the public hearing is Sema Kwama, 19 Division Street. Ms. Raymer sits on this for Mr. Heller. That's me. Thank you.
We didn't know that.
Okay, good evening. I'm checking to see if you can hear me correctly, and it seems you can.
Talk into the microphone, please.
Am I loud enough now?
Now it's
Am I
better.
clear? Okay, very good. Let's begin. I'm going to look at,
Excuse me, I think for the record, are you recording this? Video recording it?
yes, absolutely.
Okay, I think for the record, it should be stated that you are.
Oh, my sister here, Dr. Asma Kamar, is making a video recording, and I'm putting the sisterly love to test, sadly. Okay, lovely. Let's carry on. Staff report, pages 170. Okay, no existing conditions survey meeting the requirements has been provided. I provided this survey the last time, and I spoke with Mr. Leroux this morning. After I'd made some copies and brought them in again for the second time, he nonchalantly informed me that he has found them. So I am glad that they have them, and it's on your reports. So moving on to number 2. Site development plans have been provided, so that's good. The Town of Greenwich standard construction notes shall be included on the site plan. So all the relevant, significant, pertinent standard construction notes have been included on the site plan. I draw the Commission's attention to the first page of the architectural plans titled General Notes, prepared by my architect, Michael. And there's 29 points written on there, so that should suffice. They are pertinent.
It doesn't suffice if it's not in accordance with the Town of Greenwich standards. These are very general notes that architects would put on here, and in reading them, I don't know which one of them would comply with the Greenwich regulations. Can you tell me which one complies?
They all comply. They're all standard notes as per the state of Connecticut.
Which one of them comply, or which ones of them comply with the Town of Greenwich site plan regulations?
They all do. Mr. Leroux has been telling me about Appendix J, and that involves drainage, and I don't think it's pertinent, and it's not relevant, it's not pertinent, and therefore, right, moving on.
Well,
Number 5.
So you're not going to put those notes on the plan because it is a requirement, and Appendix J does outline what is required as part of the site
Okay, very good.
subdivision plans.
If they're not on, they're not on.
So you're not going to put them onto the site plan as required?
It is my belief that they're not relevant, pertinent, and therefore, I'm not going to put them on.
Which one specifically? Because that's, I don't understand why you're not putting them on. Could you go through
Because
that?
I already said they're not relevant, they're not pertinent.
Okay,
They require drainage. I have drainage exemption, so that's it. End of story.
So a highway permit is required for all work within the town of Greenwich right-of-way?
Yes.
That's a standard note
Yes,
that
because I'm
applies.
not doing any work in the town's right-of-way.
Right, but that's why these notes go on there, so that it's on the record on the plan, so that
Good.
it's...
Very
So
good.
that it's understood in the future that, again, a highway permit is required for all work within the town right-of-way.
Yes, since I'm not doing any work in the town's
So you're
right-of-way.
not, I guess that you've made it clear you're not planning to comply with that requirement.
I don't believe it's a requirement. We have a dispute of, okay, just because, all right?
Madam,
Yes.
do you understand that regulations of this town and
Yes.
other towns as well
No.
are not discretionary? They're regulations.
Yes.
There's a list, and it's not a question of whether you think it's relevant. All applicants are treated the same,
Right.
and they all have to provide the documents listed. It's that simple. It's not an argument.
Nancy, I think you've got a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Just yell, we can hear you.
It's not an argument about relevance. It is a requirement. It's not discretionary. So we are asking you if you are prepared to comply. And
I don't,
if your answer is no, then you will not have met the regulation. Do you understand that?
I believe that there are contents in this entire staff report. I've been asked to do things. I've been asked to turn my front yard green before I begin construction. There are things that are not pertinent.
Not staying on point.
Right.
This-
I am not. I'm not putting those construction notes on there. We will go to court and we'll find out if they're relevant or not.
It's not a question of relevance.
Fine.
It's
a risk I'm willing to take.
It's not a risk. What you say a risk.
She said
Well-
she said she's going to go to court and have a court determine whether...
If they were necessary or not if they're relevant to my plan or not.
That's her privilege.
That is. It's my discretion.
Okay. Are we perfectly clear on where the differences of opinion are, if you will? We're saying what's regulatory, and you're saying
Well,
you're not accepting that.
If one were to go by the staff report, I mean, the mistakes on it are horrendous.
Madam, you're going off point again.
Yes.
It's a regulation. Everybody has to comply.
Fine.
And you are telling us that you refuse to do so.
If they were relevant, my professional architect would have put them on. If he doesn't, I place my faith in this gentleman. And, okay, carrying on.
And just for the record, they go on the engineering plan, not on the architectural plan.
Okay, since I have an exemption under 500, they're not therefore relevant. Okay. The applicant should indicate on the plan the
Excuse me,
designated rubbish areas.
Sorry.
Pardon me. Yes.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Just as it relates to your last comment, I just wanted to state that on the comment from Vincent Mascusi, who's the engineer who reviewed this for the exemption.
Right.
Number 7 on there says the Town of Greenwich standard construction notes for site and subdivision plans are conditions that must be met.
Okay, so we'll wait till we get to number 7. The applicant should indicate on the plan the designated rubbish areas to demonstrate compliance. I have that ready for you. I have 11 copies. There's a narration, there is a drawing, as well as a photograph. And this rubbish area is under my porch. Everybody on the street uses the same area. It's being used now. It's not being built. It is in existence, and it is working as such. And as you'll see, it provides adequate screening. Please take a moment to review it.
Pardon me.
Oh, go on. You can continue.
I could, all right. So what could I say about this area? As you see, I just take a moment to describe it. It's a corridor that exists under my porch. My porch is really high, well, less than 5 feet, but then the ground level is another 4 feet underground. So the corridor is 7 feet high. And then there are concrete walls and the staircase is concrete, so that is where the rubbish will go. And there's a big door to facilitate removal. And it is not something that I'm creating now. It's already in existence and functional.
So, it's behind, excuse me, is it behind these stairs?
Yes, exactly.
And so you kind of go, you can get in there from?
The side.
Oh, from over on the side of the house?
Yes.
Okay. Mhm.
Okay, number 5, the proposed architectural plans show no living space in the attic and access to the attic. I've explained this matter a couple of times to the Commission, but here it appears again at number 5, so I think I'll have to do it yet again. The attic space in the proposed architectural plans is less than 7 feet. There is no access to the attic because it's not a living space, there's no staircase, and proposed addition. It's less than 7 feet, so it does not contribute to the FAR. Now, the existing house has an attic, and that is 2 master bedrooms, 1 for each house. That is covered by my existing permit. The staircase is grandfathered, and we're not building it, we're not changing it. It's covered by the existing permit.
What the comment is.
Yes,
Is that the architectural plans which you submitted to us.
right.
Do not show stairway going to the existing attic, not the new attic. We
Right.
understand that.
Yes.
Is not
Yes,
over 7 feet.
Right.
It is the existing attic,
yes.
which is in the house, which does not show the layout of a bedroom. Does not show.
And why do you need this? For the proposed addition. The living area space dimensions are shown grammatically. They're shown by diagram, by a drawing of SE minor. You need that living space area for FAR calculations and for determining what is this area. So, therefore, you have that area on diagram, SE minor, and then you have the FAR calculations by the architect. So, the staircase is of no significance whatsoever at this point because it's grandfathered, it's not to be altered. The building code will make sure there's a handrail, and I just don't see how it's necessary. Or what bearing does it have? Can you tell me?
I'm just sort of curious that
Oh, curiosity?
Are you mocking me?
I'm not mocking you, sir, but I have been asked to provide architectural diagrams for the
I asked you to
addition.
provide existing drawings of the floor of the house, your existing house.
They're there, sir. They're all there. The attic's there and everything.
Well, it's not on the drawings that you submitted. from
What
the
is not
architect.
there?
The stairway.
And how is the stairway pertinent? Pray tell.
It's not there. We asked you to show it when you were
It is
here.
on my existing permit. You can pull that up. It's
not for us-
on record.
It's not for us to go back and forth to the building department
actually-
to find out what's there.
It's on the
although-
staff report. I'm
although
going
we
to
have
show
done
you.
it.
I'm going to
Excuse
show
me.
you the exact page,
But
sir.
it's not up to this commission to put together all of these bits and pieces. You're supposed
You're
to
not
come to us.
putting bits and pieces together. All the information
Is
is.
not on your plans.
Okay, let me see. Allow me to look up the page for you.
Madam,
The building permit is on page 188.
Oh, thank you kindly.
She
Right.
submitted drawings since then which don't show a stair.
Okay, page 187 shows a staircase, a dormer, the knee wall, the tub. This is already in existence. It's stamped approved. It's good to go.
So
What shall we do about
But
it?
you
What
have
is the-
submitted plans to us dated June 2nd of this year.
We can go back forth on this if you like, many times. The staircase is not relevant. It's not included. End of story.
Madam, you raised the same argument on this
Yes.
that you did on the last.
There is no argument.
requirement.
It's really very clear.
All right.
Making an argument. The argument talks to discretion and relevance, and there is a simple rule. The rule is you must provide
I must provide
an as-is drawing that shows everything that is there.
It's there on page 188. What do you not see?
Madam?
The tub is there, the staircase is there.
That's a
Because you have
proposed
submitted
drawing.
You have submitted plans to us dated after plans that you are referring to on 187.
Yes, my building permit is about 3 years old.
Did you build what you?
It was never built. That's how I bought it, sir. So what am I building here? And what am I asking
Is
for an
there-
approval?
is-
I am asking for an approval to build, and you have those plans. The staircase is on page 188.
So
87, I correct myself.
So there's no staircase physically there at the moment? In other words, you never...
There is a staircase. I bought the house with 2 staircases that go up to the attic. That is how I bought the house. That is the staircase I am using. That is the staircase that is covered by my existing permit. That is the staircase that shall remain, and that is also grandfathered.
So then the plans on page...
187?
No, the plans that on the new architectural plans on 192,
Yes.
where are the stairs that get up to the attic then on the existing condition, or on the...
What do you need to know about the stairs? How are they relevant?
Because the regulations require that architectural plans be provided, and you've provided that.
Okay.
But the plan that is shown...
I've provided them, end of the story. This is the end.
Excuse me,
I'm
please let me
sorry.
finish. The plan that is on page 192 does not show stairs that go up into the attic that your building permit plan does show. So that's why we're asking, because it's very confusing to try to reconcile all these different plans. So is there a stair that goes up to that attic? Like, was it constructed?
Which attic are you referring to? The one
The one that-
existing or the one that we are planning to build this year?
The one that's shown on page 192 that says existing attic plan, so that's the way it is now, there's no stairs that go up there at the moment, so you've not constructed work
Please be
under the...
clear if you're referring to the existing or the planned.
I'm trying to, if I could just get the question
If you
out
say
there.
attic, we don't know which you're referring to.
But page 192 refers to an existing attic plan. That's part of the confusion, is 192 is showing an existing condition, so that's why we're trying to reconcile. And I think we're almost there, because you said before you haven't actually constructed anything under the permit, is that right? So in other words, this would be an existing condition that's shown on 192?
Let me
No,
look up
she just said the
192.
stairway goes to the attic.
So she
said
has
bought the
constructed
house.
it, so in that's why...
I haven't constructed. It was there when I bought the house.
Madam,
Yes.
I'd like to try and just go back
Yes.
chronologically with you because...
Yes, I really don't, okay,
Madam,
let me break it
Madam?
down. Yes,
I'm
all ears.
addressing you.
Yes.
And I would like to try,
okay.
sorry. I would like to try and get this straightened out. So,
And don't turn
In-
it too much, so she, yes.
in 2013, you received a building permit,
Yes.
and that was to construct a room in an attic. Is
Don't
that
worry about. Yeah, pardon? No, the attic was always there. I always had 3 bedrooms. I decided to move one up there. You know, the space always existed. It existed when I bought the house, right?
Okay, let's go back.
Hmm.
You bought the house in what year? Madam, you think you're being clear, but your documents are not consistent
Really?
internally. So please listen to my questions, okay?
Okay.
When did you buy the house?
I cannot give you an exact date.
The year.
I can't. Maybe
All
5. I don't know. I'm not going to say something on record that
Approximately 5
3 to
years.
4 years ago. All right.
Okay. When you bought that house,
Yes.
what was located on the attic floor?
The attic.
Okay, it was an attic with no finished rooms, is that correct?
Right.
Okay, so after that,
After that, I proceeded to put a dormer in there
you got a,
and skylights.
and you got a building permit
Yes.
to do that, is that
Yes,
right?
that is correct.
Okay, and you constructed 1 staircase, 2 staircases?
The staircases were always there. The attic was always had access.
Fine.
Okay?
All right, so the staircases existed, but it was a raw attic, if you will.
Raw as in unfinished.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So then you got a building permit, and staircases 2 were already there.
Right.
You put 2 rooms up there?
No, the rooms were there. The space was there.
You're not listening to my question.
Yes.
You created out of an unfinished attic 2 new bedrooms, 1 in each half. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
We're making headway. You may not think so, but we're.
Oh, really?
making headway. We're
Okay.
good, yes. Okay, so, so your as-is condition now is that there are 2 finished bedrooms on the 3rd floor. We understand you removed walls on the 2nd floor, so your number of bedrooms is the same.
Yes.
So your as-is condition should show the staircases that were there when you got the house, and the 2 rooms which you have constructed pursuant to a building permit. That is your as-is condition today, and that's what is missing from.
I don't see why it's missing. It's on page 189 drawn. It's on there.
I will tell you why it's important.
Oh, really? Please.
Well, Dick, she isn't saying
No,
it's important.
no, please tell me, because the point entirely escapes me, so please enlighten me. Yes.
The stairway may or may not count towards your total building FAR,
Yes.
depending on where it is.
Right.
And without that piece of information, the
Oh.
zoning enforcement officer can't make that determination.
What does the zoning enforcement officer have to do with it?
He is the one that you'll see next, and
Yes, so we'll worry about it when he sees it next. I'll explain it to him. For the commission's purposes, what I'm trying to do is for the commission's purposes
the commission's
and the
purposes
guidelines laid
ask you
out,
to give us.
it is all, everything
correct
is there.
existing
If you
drawings.
don't fail to see it, everything,
How can I
all
see
the
it? The
information.
drawing you've given me
There's a
shows
diagram,
nothing.
sir.
Dick,
That staircase is not pertinent to our discussion because it's covered by my existing permit. End of story. Moving
It's
on.
not, madam.
Pardon?
Every applicant has to give us.
I have given
As-
you everything
Okay.
that I could possibly give you.
This is the
Okay.
drawings.
Ms.
These are
Kumar.
the drawings
Yes.
you gave us.
Yes.
May I suggest something?
Yes,
This commission is not against you or for you.
right.
We're for the town.
Yes.
On behalf of the people of the town. They're the people who have
Yes.
appointed us to this commission. I must say that I have sat here for 9 years, hearing applicants of every sort, every imagination. And I must say, the resentment against this commission that you seem to show, and I can understand why, because there's been a tedious,
Yes, because your staff
excuse me, please.
keeps
please-
losing my documents,
Excuse me.
and I have to take time off from work.
Ms. Kumar, I believe I was speaking.
Yes, please, carry on.
Thank you for your permission. I'm suggesting to you that perhaps if you want to get this project done, it's not going to be done by trying to browbeat this commission. Just a minute, please.
That is your
not-
assumption, sir.
I'm making a statement.
Yes.
That it will not be done as a result of your browbeating the commission.
There's no browbeating. I have met every
Excuse me, Ms.
requirement.
Kumar. We listened to you ad infinitum. I think
Just
it's time that you perhaps listened with your God-given ears. And I'm suggesting to you that if you...
You're not my school teacher, sir. I'll not have that tone either.
Excuse
So,
me, sir.
my God-given
Excuse me,
ears.
ma'am. Excuse me. You're only exhibiting more and more of behavior, which I personally find offensive.
You were sleeping through the last meeting.
And
Have
I'm
you
suggesting to
woken
you
up?
Oh, my God.
that if you perhaps try to act a little more nicely, a little bit more responsively, instead of constantly telling us that we're in the wrong, you would get further and you'd have a greater likelihood of meeting what I believe is your goal of getting this construction done.
Very good.
If you want
I
to set up-
believe at this
excuse me-
time.
Excuse me, Ms. Kamala.
Oh, God, how long are you going to go on?
I
I
don't
get your
know, but it's
point.
my
I get
privilege
your
as a
point.
commissioner, and I intend to utilize it. I'm suggesting to you that if your goal, you have...
You're scolding me, sir.
I'm
And
not scolding you. I'm trying to be more polite than I think perhaps your behavior calls for.
really,
We have sat here time and time again while you have nitpicked with this commission, argued with this commission, tried to put down this commission.
I am not listening to
Excuse
this
me.
anymore.
And that's the...
I have applied 3 times. I
Okay.
have provided you everything that you've asked
That's
for.
your opinion.
You
But the problem is
asked
that-
for the architectural plans at the last minute. You've
Okay,
asked me to
fine.
turn the building green. You have not given me walkways. The list goes on, sir.
That will
The
be-
feeling that you have is on both sides.
I suggest-
have complied to everything.
I hear you.
I have gotten the architectural plans. I have got the rubbish areas designated. I am doing my very best.
Ms. Kumar,
And you are scolding me. I'm not here to receive a scold, sir. Let us carry on with our business. I will present you the plans, you vote on it, and we proceed as the Constitution intended. I will not listen to a scolding.
Ma'am, I have not scolded you.
Well, it certainly feels like it, sir.
It may, you come in here with an attitude against this commission, as if,
I am-
just a minute, you don't even let commissioners finish their comments, suggestions, questions. I'm suggesting to you, perhaps it'll be of help to you, but perhaps not. You can take it as you wish. I'm suggesting to you that if you continue in this manner, I think personally it's highly, highly unlikely that you'll get an approval from this commission.
Very good.
If, on the other hand, you try to evidence cooperation with this commission in the
I have
job that
done
we
my
have-
very best. I'm not likely to do any more.
Well, that's your pleasure.
Yes, I have done my very best. I have provided the wetland sheet 3 times. I didn't know that the wetlands were encroaching onto central Greenwich and had to be monitored constantly.
Just a few minutes ago, let me see if I can help here. Ms. Raymer made the comment just a few minutes ago about what's required.
Yes, I've provided what's required. You know, if it's going to be open to interpretation, then we need a third-party mediation. I'm sorry, I cannot do any more. I have gone to the engineer, I've gone to the architect, I have enough land
Ma'am.
to build this tiny thing.
Ma'am,
Yes.
let me finish what I have to say.
Are you going to scold me as well?
You see this attitude?
Can we just carry on? You proceed. Please make your judgment, and we go from there, right?
No, you've interrupted me 3 times now, like you've interrupted all of us. A comment was made about what Ms. Raymer said, what we require,
Right.
okay? Do you want to repeat that for the record, please, Ms. Raymer?
Well, in the immediate case, what you need to provide is a formal architect's drawing,
Those are-
which
Let her finish.
includes your staircase to the attic and the rooms you have built in the attic. That is the requirement of every applicant. It has nothing to do with discretion or whether you think it's relevant. This is what, and every applicant does this. We do not get this kind of fight from people.
Okay,
Because it's
sorry.
a simple rule.
I get
But
it.
I have the document here.
Yes.
You show me where on the formal drawing your staircase and 3rd floor rooms are. Why don't you show me that?
I want to know how that's pertinent.
No, madam.
Okay.
It's a
We are
rule.
done. I am not providing any more. My architect has done a fabulous job. This staircase is grandfathered. You couldn't alter it even if you wanted to, okay? Neither could I. So it's all there. If you don't think it's not there, then please go for a disapproval. We're
Madam,
moving on.
In the formal drawings, not some hand-sketched item.
It's not hand-sketched. It's approved. It has a building stamp on it, approved for building.
Is your site plan drawings, right?
The ones you're holding right now are Michael's drawings,
Yes.
my architect.
Is there any page that you can find which includes your attic and the 2 staircases to it?
There is an attic there. And I wonder why you're going on about the staircase. How is the staircase important? It's already, I just don't know.
I think Mr.
I tried
Maitland,
to answer
The
that.
measurements,
I tried
the
to answer
FAR calculations.
question.
Okay.
Mr. Maitland was trying to give you a response.
Yes.
Let's go over that question again.
Yeah.
Why is it required?
Never
Mr.
mind.
Maitland?
Well, my response is that the zoning enforcement officer, before you obtain a zoning permit from the
Yes,
town,
yes.
will in fact ask you to show that staircase, because he will want to know.
Well, he will see it on that
Excuse
permit.
me. Your plans that you're submitting aren't there, and he's not going to go back and dig out these other plans. It's not his job.
Really?
It's your job to give him the information.
Right.
Secondly, it may or may not count towards FAR, which could affect your project. It's necessary to see these stairs to determine what is the accurate FAR dimension of your house.
It's not related
That's
at
all.
all.
Okay, we're moving on. These are the drawings you have. Please take your decision on the papers provided. Done. End of story.
Okay.
Madam, is it correct that you refuse to
I do not
provide-
refuse anything. Now, please do not,
Provide-
I think we've been very clear. We've spent 10 minutes on the staircase, which doesn't count at all, okay? It doesn't count. The FAR calculations are there, the diagrams are there, SE minor. It's covered by my existing permit. Let's not make a thing of it. If you don't think it's there, then we have a difference opinion, and we know where to go to resolve it.
Do you
It's
have
really
a-
that simple.
Do you have a certificate of occupancy for that building permit?
No, I haven't finished yet. because I keep waiting to build out and applying 3 times for this. The building of the existing has to be connected to the new one. The bathrooms, there are no bathrooms in the house. So I would like to have some bathrooms before I apply for certificate of occupancy.
Okay, so that permit is still open, the one that shows the
It's
stairs.
open and valid and legit.
And the stairs are there, is what you're saying? They're
Yes, they've always been there, like I said, for the last 3 or 4 years. And nobody on God's earth is going to change that. They are unchangeable because they're grandfathered. It's really that simple.
Well,
Okay, anyway, carrying
Madam?
on, yes.
There is no determination that they are grandfathered. You have testified that they exist and that they existed when you bought the house.
Okay,
That's everything we have in evidence.
excellent. Well, let's carry on. The proposed, number 6, the proposed FAR plans have not been properly calculated. Okay, the applicant should be addressed the ZEO comments and recalculate the proposed gross floor area. Well, those calculations are absolutely 100% bang on correct. Mr. Jody Couture seems to think that the laundry and everything should be taken out. That's like 200 square feet we take out for laundry and furnace or boiler. And, well, the law is very clear, you see. The law is very clear that the basement is this much. And if it's underground, which the SE minor has said it's 70% under, so then you take half of it. So the existing, because the basement is existing at 685, I've rounded it off, but it's 685 square feet, it is existing. So you go half of that. You don't first take out 2, reduce it to 485, reduce the actual dimension of an existing basement. You don't lop it off and then reduce it to half. I cannot believe that a professional would write this down. You know, I am astounded and flabbergasted, but I'm trying to explain it to you the best that I can. The basement exists at 685. The law says if it's less than 3 feet in the back, it's less than 3 and 5, between 3 and 5 in the front, the law says half it. Okay, so we half it. We don't take out, and then the half further contains a laundry and a plumbed laundry and a basement.
That's
So you
not
take-
the way it works.
That is the way it works. I'm under that impression.
Well-
Again, we have a difference of
well,
opinion.
wait a second.
Excuse me, the
Let him say
ZEO
what he to say.
has tried.
Pardon?
The ZEO has tried to say
Yes,
you have not calculated it in accordance with the regulations.
right. That's his opinion. He's entitled to it.
Well, all
He
right, that's fine.
enforces that.
Right?
Let me ask you another question.
Yes, we will get experts. You know, this is not, Mr.
Let me ask you the question.
I'm
No,
done with that
please.
question.
I'm sorry.
She disagrees with Jody, so.
Yes, I absolutely
Okay.
Okay, that's
disagree
fine.
with it.
Okay.
Yes.
You will have this discussion with him when you apply for your.
Yes, let's leave the zoning enforcement division to the zoning enforcement when we get to it.
Except it is generally presented to us during these hearings. You do understand that, as you have been
I have-
advised by others on this commission, you're not treated any differently than anyone else.
Really, I feel so.
I know you do. I do know that.
Right.
But you're not being.
Really?
Okay.
I feel that. You feel that way, I feel this way, sir.
Question.
And we will be cordial, and we will carry on and go as the Constitution dictates.
Let me ask you the question I asked you last
Yes.
time
Yes.
you were here.
I hope I can address it properly.
Well, one would hope so. You've
I
had
hope I'm
time to
prepared.
think about it.
Carry on.
The basement,
Yes,
which you say is a certain size.
yes.
The current drawings that we have from your architect, which, again, we did not have the basis of when you were here before, shows the basement to be a different dimension than he then goes and puts in his drawings, his FAR calculations, which I believe you gave him. And the fact is that the dimension of the basement is drawn as 25 feet, wall to wall, plus or minus. Your calculations in the FAR are 18.5 feet, wall to wall. That's a huge difference.
Right. The FAR calculations are correct? They are correct. 18.5, 18.5. You can find out. This is not a mystery, sir. You have the survey. You know the
Survey has nothing to do with the basement of
Oh,
this
the
house.
survey can pretty much tell you what the size of the basement is,
The survey.
because the house is built to add 5 inches off of each side, and...
Excuse me. The first floor is 25 feet. Outside, let's say...
No, FAR calculations are from within.
Thank you.
Yes.
But just to get, sort of set the picture,
Yes.
the outside wall of the first floor and the outside wall of the first floor is approximately 26 feet. 25 inside, 6-inch walls. Those walls sit above a foundation, which would have the same dimension as the walls above it. The drawings you've presented from the architect show that. The FAR calculations from the architect, which are the same as the FAR calculations you presented previously, do not show it. Instead of it being...
So let's go with the architects. He is the professional. And since I've invested in an architect, we can certainly rely on him above mine. But the FAR calculations are consistent with both, so I think we're on safe ground here.
But even in your earlier hand-sketched plan...
That hand-sketched plan is no longer relevant because we have the architect's plans.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, the architect's plans
Happily
show
resolved.
something that the calculations don't show.
Oh, really?
Yes, really.
Okay. Voila.
How
How do you get into your basement?
Let me.
How do I get into my basement? I
Just
get,
clarify, you directed us to the survey.
right.
The survey shows the front of your building 40 feet wide. But your floor plans show it being 25 and 25, which would be 50. Where's the 10 feet?
You're not looking at the right dimensions, perhaps? You're confusing length for width, width for height. If you throw out these numbers in the air, I'm
looking
sorry.
at-
All the calculations by the professionals are there.
I'm
I will
looking
not
at-
comment on them. It's all there.
I'm just pointing you back
Perfectly
to page
correct.
215.
If these calculations were not correct, they would be on here now, on the staff report. The staff report that was printed previously, the staff report that is printed this year. We've had 60 days to consider this matter. At the end, on the eve of when my permit is running out, you will not tell me that this diagram is not correct. You've had 60 days and professionals to look at it. So I think we can trust the professionals.
With 60 days.
I think we should trust the professionals. You know, after all, S.E. Minor and Michael.
We received your professional drawings on June 25th. So where do you come up with 60 days?
60 days, S.E. Minor.
No, your
The
professional-
basement calculations have been there. We're not going to split hairs on the eve of the closure.
Well, again, I go back to my question, how do you get into the basement?
Oh, I have a door that opens in from the corridor. That's
What
how.
corridor?
From the corridor that's under the basement, under the porch. That's all existing. It's not, it's the way I bought it, it's the way the house has been.
How you get into the basement, you walk under the porch?
I generally prefer to get into the basement from my kitchen. Okay? There's a door from my kitchen leading down to the basement. That's how I like to get to there.
Stairway.
Yes.
Again, why do your plans show a door on the street side of your building showing access to the basement?
There is a door there, that's why. It has two-way access.
So there is a stairway.
Which stairway are you referring to now, sir?
The
You know,
one
I
just
mean,
said- The one you
okay,
just said
I
from
re-
your kitchen.
Yes.
You take and walk down to the basement from the
Yes.
kitchen.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Again, something not shown on your drawing.
Oh, really? A stairway, again, is not relevant. It's built. You need the dimensions of the basement. You need how deep the basement is. You have that information. All right? So, carrying right on. So, yes, I'm going to, Mr. Jody Couture is going to be, he's put in this thing, and he's going to answer. There's going to be experts, and he's going to answer as to what he thinks or why he thinks that this is the this is the way the calculation should be done. He will be doing that shortly, I assure you.
Just
And
as a note,
I
the
will quote this matter.
calculations- Ms. Kumar, sorry, really
Yes.
quick.
Yes.
Just as a note, like, the calculations have been done that way for many years. and
Okay,
it's just
good.
Standard procedure.
Right.
So
Right.
a lot of people come in doing it incorrectly. They're told exactly how
Yes,
they're
but the-
performed. And so they
That's
always
fine.
get performed the
That's
same
fine.
way.
Actually, I don't know
So you-
why Mr. LaRoe didn't come up with it, because he is the senior planner and the planning zoning. What does the enforcement officer have to do with it?
That
He's
is
certainly
our-
jumping the
Madam,
gun here.
Madam.
Afterwards, I'm going to him.
Madam.
Yes,
It is a basic courtesy. He was talking to you.
yes.
You wait till he's
Oh,
done.
I'm being scolded again.
You're talking, no, you're talking over us. Not anybody up here has had the opportunity to finish asking a question. You overtalk us.
Really?
That has nothing to do with a lecture.
I'm sorry, I feel attacked and I defend myself, and that's what's going on here, so.
If you listened, there is a way that this gets calculated. You have not done it right.
Okay.
The person who
Right.
gives that observation for us is the zoning enforcement officer.
Excellent. All
He
right.
has done that steadfastly here.
All right.
Is that not correct?
Yes,
Keeps
we shall
telling-
find out, because he's going to explain himself very shortly, and we shall all learn what is the correct way to calculate the basement, and we'll all learn it very soon, very shortly. We'll find out who's correct, who's not.
And the comment on page one, sorry, Mr. Maitland, the comment on page 177 is the comment from the zoning enforcement officer. I'd just like to point out the note at the bottom.
Yes.
Does say that these comments do represent building inspection.
Do not reflect.
Do not represent building inspection division approval. Plans
Yes.
subject to review by ZEO at time of building permit application. So just so you know that there, like you were pointing out, there is another review period where the zoning.
Where he says, I'm not responsible for this
Where the
opinion.
zoning-
The word not jumps out at me.
Where the zoning enforcement officer.
When the building permit said, the building department says, I'm not responsible for the above opinion, that kind of sticks out, you
Says
know?
plans subject to review by
So
zoning
what sticks
enforcement
out to you?
officer at the time of building permit application.
I think this, I think we're not getting anywhere.
That's
I think
fine.
we're
I just
If you
have
think
to
that's
address, yes,
I think
Mr.
we've
Heller,
tried-
please.
Let me finish this sentence.
Yes,
please.
of course.
I think we've tried to tell you
Yes,
what's required to get our approval,
right,
and we haven't been able to convince you.
right.
And hopefully in this, when you examine what we've said,
Mm-hmm.
you'll appreciate that we've told you what we require to get approval.
Right.
You're not accepting that. That's your decision.
That's not, I have done the calculations as mandated by the law,
What I'm saying,
and what I'm saying is what the law is not open, subject to interpretation. It is the law. And,
ma'am, we're telling you what we require.
right,
You're not accepting that, okay? You have it, whatever you want to say. I think that's, I don't think there's anything more. Do you want to say anything else?
yes, I want to go through the entire points, because, and if we don't agree, that is
What else do
certainly,
you want to say?
I have to address every one of these points. A recording is being made, and there is procedure to be followed after, right?
I just
So-
want an acknowledgement
Yes.
from you that your FAR calculations, the
Yes.
numbers that your architect has used,
Yes,
do match the drawing that he provided on the same sheet.
okay.
You're aware of that?
They do not match. You just said they did a while ago.
I said they do not.
Okay, all
said
right,
that
then,
very clearly.
then you know you'll be sending me that letter, and I will take my architect, I'll hold him responsible. It just, that's all there.
Your architect.
Right, right. I have to, as per procedure, I have provided you everything that you asked for. I have to go through down the list, make it clear what we think, if there's a difference of opinion, and,
Well, say what you want to say.
I do. I'm going down this. And are you saying that are you as a commission saying that Mr. Jody Couture has made a correct observation, and this is the way that the divisions, the This is the way it should be done?
Yes.
Could I please have that on record, saying that this is the way the reduction should be done?
That's correct.
It's
Okay.
in the last time you were before us, it's in the transcript. You can request a copy of the transcript, but we made it very clear at the last meeting as well.
Okay.
So you will find it there, and you have a right to the transcript, and we said the same thing.
Okay, very good. All right. The site contains no off-site parking and would not provide any parking as part of the action. The Commission should determine if proposed action would increase required parking demand, and if so, variance of parking would be required. Well, I'd like to say, why are we going on about the parking? When I bought the house, it had no parking. It had no driveways, it has no space. There is not enough space to make a driveway. There's not enough space to make a parking. This is a nonconformist building, and I cannot get any permits for parking.
What do you mean, get any comment?
I cannot get any permits for parking. There is no space, to make parking. So what would you like me to do about it? That's the way I bought the house, 0 parking. With the addition of bathrooms, it shall remain 0 parking, and there's nothing anyone can do about it because the laws do not allow me to make parking of any sort. But I bought the house with 3 bedrooms, and that's the way the house was there with 3 bedrooms, no driveway, no parking, and that's how it shall remain now. So the proposed exterior lighting has been shown on proposed elevation plan, giving outstanding, we agreed, Mr. Maitland. Last time we agreed that I didn't need a photometric plan considering the wattage of the bulbs was 30. I have you on record saying that. The trees were about 5 or 6, and you didn't need a photometric plan. So I have
I'm sorry.
not provided one because we agreed that there was none needed.
The question of the lighting
Yes.
is your existing conditions.
Oh.
Have you removed that?
I have turned the light. My electrician can verify it. It was inspected by Mr. William Schwartz. He was satisfied, but
Satisfied with what?
he was first satisfied with the turning of the light, that it was now not shining into my neighbor's property. So the light had been directed.
Do you have anything in writing
And-
from him?
Oh, I do.
That was from when was that? That wasn't recently, because he hasn't been a zoning inspector for some time now. He took a different position.
Right. That's the time when we resolved the matter. Then this violation was restarted, and I am going to be asking, there are so many holes in that story. Every time they come to do an inspection, I'm never included. The photometric plan, whenever they come with the instrument that measures the candles of light, I am never included, and they seem to be contrary to the results, to the bulbs that are existing at this time. They said the lights weren't turned on one time. Well, it's a motion sensor light. There are so many holes in that story.
Just to be clear,
Yes,
since you are recording this,
yes,
the statements made
yes.
were in relationship to the 2 lights that you're proposing on the back of the house near the
Right,
doors.
Right.
The 2 new lights.
yes, the 2 proposed lights,
And
yes.
you did testify that those would be within an enclosure and that the light bulb would not be visible. In other words, the light source is shielded.
I don't
It has
remember
a
saying
lens
that.
around it.
I said that the bulb can be changed to a lower wattage, is what I said.
Okay.
She's just saying the light bulbs would be changed.
No, for the proposed or existing.
But the proposed, from the diagram you gave us,
Yes.
the elevation drawing,
Yes.
would be consistent with the kind of exterior lights seen in residences in Greenwich. Now, if you overbulb it, or you put in too much wattage, that could cause a problem, of course.
Right.
You're saying that you would take low wattage in the lights?
Yes.
Do you have a wattage that you'll put in the light?
Yeah, I said 30 watts.
30
and it's
watts.
motion sensor.
Okay.
Motion sensor as well. Okay. And the proposed landscaping plan, you have the landscape plan and the front yard, the curb cuts, everything is really there. The 2 trees, if they suffice, you know. I've been over it the last time, so I'm not going to bore the commission again. We really talked it through the last time. Again, the applicant did not provide the existing condition survey. Of course, I did. You
went through that.
Yes, but it's mentioned again on page 171, the top line. So I'm just going down. Construction logics and phasing plan. This is actually there. It exists. It has existed from the very first time that I applied for this permit. I will find the exact page for you. It's in here. It's very clearly, yes, there it is. Page 209, the proposed, no, that's the project. Oh, sorry. Okay, 210, construction and logistics. All materials will be carried manually to the back of the house. A bobcat can be brought in for digging. If it doesn't happen, we can get some tools which can be hand dug. So worst case scenario, a pick. But maybe some electrical hand tools can be used for digging, so the workers do not have to perform an extraneous effort. And I'll try to get a bobcat in if I can on my path, if it doesn't fit, if it doesn't seem feasible. I'm not likely to trespass on my neighbors' properties. So but there are other diggers that are hand operated. And the size of the addition is so small that I think we can manage it. It's not unheard of. It's a bit difficult, but not unheard of. And there it is, 210. And so actually, where it says it's not provided, the applicant has not provided construction, logistics, and phasing plan. Are you paying attention? Demonstrating how the construction, so I have, it's there, it's on page 210. So I have provided it, I've always provided it right from the beginning. Although none of the addition would be in the front yard, I'm just bringing you to the second paragraph, perhaps the third of the same page, 177. None of the addition would be in the front yard. The parcel is substandard, of course it is. It's nonconformist, and we're not building in the front yard, so I think we shouldn't talk about it. There's no need to go on.
Actually, I did have a question about that, because the
Yes.
the existing condition survey that is from 2015 shows the areas of the stone dust and the plantings and the grandfather pavers, except the proposed site development plan, which is this one here, dated December 4, 2013. This one shows the existing block paver sidewalk, and it expands out the considerable distance that it's in conflict with the existing condition, and also, from the photograph.
Really, how is it in conflict? It's going from one end, it's lying parallel to the road. Are you talking about the walk that exists?
Well, I'm saying that the existing condition survey is correct, and it's obviously what is out there in the field.
Right.
Except the proposed site development plan, the one that's from 2013, that shows the addition in the back.
Yes.
Of what you're doing.
Yes.
This one here has a note.
Yes.
Right up here.
What is the note?
The note says existing block paver sidewalk, except it goes to 2 arrows, and these arrows here extend from
Yes, so you're
the
actually...
roof area all the way down to the curb, and I know that that's not what's existing.
No, I'll make that clear. I see, because I see the diagram in your hand, so I know exactly what you're talking about. The existing walks are at, let's say, 90 degrees to the road. They are at the side of the house, and that's how that is my main inlet to the house. And they are I don't have driveways, so that's how I walk to the back of the house.
Right.
And And then it stops. It stops at my property line and doesn't go beyond. But the existing condition survey shows beyond my property line and shows the crosswalk and everything in the front yard up to Division Road.
Right,
So Division Street. So yes, one is, they're not inconsistent, but you don't see as far. You know, I only have to report what's on my property, but then you went it on and get about existing conditions, and with the pavers being lifted and all that we did in court, I had to go ahead and draw beyond my property line and explain the situation there.
Right.
So this one, the one you're looking at, is up to my property line, which shows my land and nothing beyond. But after that one shows up to Division Road. So
it would seem like it's just a matter of just removing that 1 second arrow so that it's consistent.
there is no error.
No,
They're absolutely
arrow.
Arrow?
Yeah, arrow.
I
Because
don't know.
I agree with what you're, I agree with
Yes.
what you're saying, that the
Yes.
existing condition survey is correct and what is
Yes.
out in the field is correct.
It's all correct. It's all done by
Right,
professionals.
except that it just seems that this one arrow
It seems
here,
that way, yes.
because the
Okay.
property line.
I'm sorry that it seems that way.
Well, the arrow extends beyond the property line.
Does it really?
So I think it could be easily solved, is my point, to just remove that. And that's why I just
Remove
wanted
the
to-
arrow? Would you like to remove the arrow?
Well,
Is that what you're
that's why
saying?
I'm asking for, that's why I'm just trying to confirm with you that
What?
where it says existing block paver sidewalk
Yes.
shown on a proposed.
If it shows on there, it'll be there, miss.
I think,
Yes?
Why don't you answer her question?
What is her question? I've been trying to grasp her question.
Don't listen. Look at what she...
Ms. Raymer, please, would you please, for the
Sorry.
record?
Can you now? So she's showing you an arrow.
Yes.
Would you please go over there and acknowledge that error, that is an...
There is not an error. I first take an
Arrow.
exception.
Arrow.
Arrow.
An arrow. We cannot go over every tiny
We
detail.
can, ma'am.
Okay.
So it could just be easily solved with the existing, the notes, the way that this is drawn on the existing survey should either be on the proposed, or this little arrow should be removed. It's that simple.
Okay.
That's all.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So since we have that major hurdle out of the way,
Madam?
I'm going to cut her off.
I'm being courteous, madam. I'm being very courteous. I am being very, very courteous.
Ma'am,
Yes,
we can continue going through this,
yes.
but it's obvious that that from our viewpoint, we're going to have major problems,
Right,
and I think that's kind of obvious.
yes.
So I think what we ought to do, because every time we're suggesting something, and I'll give you a simple example, and I'll give you just one. They talked about the lighting being used in a manner that's not in compliance with the
Right.
regulation.
Right,
Your comment about compliance related to changing bulbs,
yes.
I think.
And directing the light a different way, that should take care of it. I also have, pardon me.
finish,
Did you-
please. Let me
Please,
finish
please,
what I
carry
have to
on, carry on.
Because I think it's
Sorry.
time, I think it's time for decisions now. One of the comments we've made, and I'll make this comment,
Yes,
the issue of lighting is still the subject of an outstanding zoning violation with the
Right.
zoning enforcement office. Zoning enforcement. And they have to be cleared up. So how you do that, we would still, I think, have an issue with you on that. And it's
Okay.
one simple example. So I think.
may I
think what we
respond to
ought
that? May I respond to it?
No, not
Okay.
anymore.
Okay,
Because I think it's
no.
all,
I see that we have to,
I think, I don't want to close this out now,
no,
but.
Well, she has to give an extension if we don't, because it's a must close tonight
right,
without an extension.
right.
She doesn't want to
So
grant it.
I respectfully, members of the commission, we have to go through it because this is the process, this is the due process. This stuff has been written, and if it is not addressed by me, there are mistakes, gross mistakes in the staff report. If these are not addressed by me, I will not be able to hold my end up. I have to have this on record, because this is a printed piece of paper. I have to have my responses on record, so we will have to go through it, and there's not very much more. But as the due process that has to be followed, we have to go through it so that I could defend myself. If Mr. Jody's opinion is correct, then we shall go with it. I mean, certainly. But if it is incorrect, and I am being...
Okay, we'll allow you...
As regarding the lighting fix...
Okay, we'll allow you to go through it, so go
Yes,
through it.
right, I will. Okay. And as regarding the lighting fixture, they also did not give me the clearance for my pavers. And the last time I applied, Mr. Jody Couture reported that the pavers had not been lifted. And it took me till February to get a letter out of Ms. Katie DeLuca while the pavers had been lifted by the court-mandated date. But they did not give me a letter. They deliberately held on to that letter. I was not given the letter, and it was not cleared for 6 months. Okay, and she said she left it open for her own reasons. I have those reasons in writing, and I am going to address these issues now because I have been pushed around enough. I've asked and repeatedly written emails. I have responses to those emails. I have been asked to pick up pavers where I was not asked by court to pick up the pavers. I have been... I have asked for answers that I never got to when I was trying to clear my pavers. I have wrong responses, and all of that will now be addressed because each time I apply for it, they falsely put in a violation. And they have never given me a little clearance that I could prove to you. And the same is going on for the lighting. They have not given me a clearance in writing, so I cannot prove to you at this point that this lighting has been cleared. So by one hand, you don't clear me, by the other, you ask for clearance. That is what the situation is.
Well, you could, if you had gone to an engineer and had a licensed engineer go out and measure the lighting on your property line and then submit that to this commission, you could have done that.
Or better still, working together, since we are all townspeople, they could have just had me there when they had the inspection, the supposed inspection.
Finish what
Yes.
you have.
We could all do it together, you know. But, all right. The applicant has applied for drainage exemption request at the proposed work is less than 1,000 square feet. Again, this is a gross mistake. It's 500 square feet. It's less than 500 square feet. So, of additional impervious surface area, the first, so anything that follows after that is also nonsensical because it's less than 500, it's 366 square feet. So the exemption, so I don't know why this person would want to write 1,000 square feet. But I think at this point in the game, we should get it right in the staff report. So the first,
Madam,
yes?
just a moment, please.
Yes.
Ms. DeLuca, am I correct that DPW has now said that that is solved? Is that, do I not have that?
Yes, the issue with the rain barrels has been solved. So prior to certificate of occupancy, you just have to get an engineer to sign off on it. So they're shown on the plan, it's acceptable, the rain barrels are fine.
So
Yes, I have an email.
issue
Yes.
no longer needs to be addressed because it has been resolved.
Right, but there are mistakes, like I said, on the staff
I think
report.
it's time, let her
Consistently.
Let her finish now.
And yes, I have that email from Mr. Marucci. Okay, the project surrounding land uses and its effect on the neighborhood's essential character. I have got approval from the HDC, so it is in keeping with the character of the building, of the area, adequate open space. I got loads and loads of land. That is a very beautiful garden in the back. Landscaping done, screening, arborvitae trees, about 12 to each side, so that's 24 trees. And there will be no impact on roads or parking, because I have none, so...
I'm sorry, did you say you had an approval from HDC?
The Historic District Commission, yes, yes.
I don't think that's been, I don't recall that in the...
Well, it's done. I have a letter from them. It's done. And
She went there quite a while ago, and they had
yes,
signed off.
because I've been applying for a while. Regarding the parking,
I got it.
Yeah, they were
Okay.
crazy about some stuff, but
Let's go.
regarding the parking, I have here 25 photographs that I took around the neighborhood. I drove around for 15 minutes. And these people, I mean, this report goes on and on about parking, that you're parking in the front yard. And I have these photographs. I have the addresses of these buildings. I have emailed to Mr. Robert Seal previously, a long time ago. I can re-email them to anyone interested. So these are photographs of houses where people do park in their front yard. And what is very important to notice is that although their hard surfaces may be grandfathered, or perhaps they were put in before we had the green space regulations, the right to park is not grandfathered. If they have the right to park in their front yard, I could do the same. It's really that simple. So the hard surface may be pre-existing, may be grandfathered, but the right to park is not. So these are photographs, if you'd like to look at them, and I can, if I could have them back, I would. I need these. So
Actually, Ms. Comer, once you submit something to the record, we have to keep it. So if you want to submit it, then we have to keep them. But if you
all right, I'm holding them in my camera,
Thank you.
so please.
Okay, thank
You
you.
could give it to Miss.
Voilà. Mr. Seal has the.
yeah,
So the staff report here is. Okay. Also, if I could draw your attention to page 181, the survey indicates existing block pavers within the front yard as part of the sidewalk and extending into the row. The applicant must obtain approvals from DPW. Again, this, I gave you photographs last time. This is a grandfathered walk. It existed when I bought the house. So anything else that is in the town's right-of-way, I have picked up. Not because I was ordered by court, but because I did not have the approval, so I picked up everything. And that has been duly inspected. And then the report goes on about parking, how the car could get blocked if there's something parks behind, there's not a right turn or a left turn and all that. It's all in the report, really. And to counter that, I've given you the photographs of 25 houses around my area within 5-10 minutes of driving distance.
You made that point already. You made that point already. Go on. What's
Yes.
next?
What is next? I think I have everything.
Okay, good.
Just for the purpose of the records, the comments that were made previously about the paper violation, I would just direct everybody to the letter that was written to Ms. Comer on April 15, 2015. I'll just put it in the record. I don't need
But
to
let's
go
not-
into it.
excuse me,
But
just a
it's
second.
important to correct the record.
Okay, and ma'am, I'm sorry, I looked through the pictures, and a lot of those houses are, as you said, 5 to 10 minutes away. Some of them are in Cascab, and
No, not as far as that. Central Greenwich. I never went past. This is on my running route, so
It's okay. It's
3
not
miles is how much.
I'm going somewhere with this. Just so you know, some of them, I thought I recognized the houses, but they're not all multifamily houses. And that section of the parking that everybody's been talking to you about is only for two-family houses. So it seemed to me that I recognized them and that those are not necessarily multifamily. And we're talking specifically about multifamily. And the reason we were doing that is because when you're multifamily, you have more cars.
Right, right.
That's the assumption.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but parking in the front yard remains parking in the front yard. It's not the side yard, the
No, ma'am.
backyard,
No, ma'am.
or...
No, ma'am. What I'm saying is,
Permitted in the front yard.
for
Right.
multi, and it's specific.
You just try taking that away from those people, really.
No, ma'am, what I'm telling you is some of
It'd be
those
like-
people,
We'll have a riot.
some of those people that you're showing their driveway in the picture, and it's their with the way their driveway goes, and it's not a multifamily house, and this requirement we're talking to you about is for the kind of house you have that's a two-family.
Oh, there are multifamilies in there, I can assure you, because
were
this is
some.
like a
I agree
Northfield.
with you.
Some parts, but I said I'll send you the addresses. We
Okay,
can,
thank
right.
you.
Thank you very much.
Now, this is a,
No,
this is
we're
a-
not, we didn't hear from the public yet.
this is a must close tonight,
You're right, you are, sir.
unless you want to examine an extension.
No,
Okay.
I am satisfied. I have done my very, very best, my
Does anybody from
sincere
the-
best.
Thank you. Does
Yes.
anybody from the public have anything to say?
go.
No, good.
Does the commission, anybody in the commission want to make any final comment?
No.
Yeah, I think Mrs.
I
Raymer
think
does.
Nancy does.
Did you want to make a final comment?
Let's hear from the public first.
No, not
And the public I asked for already. Okay, did you comment from the public?
Yes.
Did I?
You want to make a comment?
I do.
Please.
My name is Dean Gamanos. I live adjacent to Miss Kamar at 15 Division Street, and I've been witnessing this back and forth for quite a while now, and I have to congratulate you guys on your patience, your objectivity. I would have probably not been as considerate as you have. And she was talking about being pushed around. I think she was trying to push some of the members of the commission around tonight. But I have a few comments. Number one, she talked about the rubbish space under her porch. I wish she would use it for these bags of trash that she's had in her backyard for over a year. I don't know if they're leaves or what they are. They are unsightly, and I wish she would either remove them or put them in the designated rubbish area. Regarding the parking that we've heard so much about, I've lived on Division Street for at least 3 times as long as she has. I have never seen anybody park on their front lawns on Division Street. I have seen her park her car in the front of her house on numerous occasions, and I wish she would not do that. Regarding the existing lights, it might be a 30-watt bulb that she intends to put in there, but that's not 30 watts now. Fortunately, it's not shining in my backyard, but it is shining in my neighbor's backyard, and maybe it's a motion detector. If it is, it should be adjusted or fixed. But it is a nuisance, and it's very bright. I would love to see those photos, by the way, and the addresses at some point, if I can have access to them, the parking photos.
Of course.
One thing she was very insistent about was not trespassing on anybody else's property. Well, I did pass around once before, and you may even have it in your files in front of you, in one of the layouts, that the path she constructed, it wasn't there originally, she constructed a path alongside her house which encroaches on my property. So I hope she doesn't hope to use that to move her construction equipment to the back of her house, to renovate to add the addition, if and when that happens. And I guess that's all I have to say, and this has been taking a long time. And my concern is that the construction does proceed, that it not take as long as some of these other things, like simply cleaning out the front yard there, because the neighbors are united in being upset about how long it's taken her to do these very little things. So when it comes to an addition, especially if she's going to go out back with a pickaxe to dig out the foundation, it might take several years, and I hope there's a time limit on construction. 5 years.
May I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Do you live on the east side or
I
the
do,
west side?
15, on the east side.
East side. So we have a survey which shows that it's called an existing walk.
Yeah.
It does.
Well, it wasn't existing
Oh, it was
before she
existing
moved in.
when they did the survey.
She,
So I don't know.
probably when she did the survey, but when she bought the house, it was not there.
Well, it does show an encroachment on your property.
Yes.
To the north or to the west, the walk which is on her property does not appear to encroach on that.
Not to the west, but I think on my side it does. And I know there are about 5 feet on the other side, and I'd be very surprised if she could get one of those diggers to fit through there. So it might be entertaining watching the people with the pickaxes out back when it's time to begin construction, but
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Would anybody else like to talk? Yes, sir.
My name is Dennis Riley, and I live at 21 Division Street. I live to the west of the applicant's property. I want to address the lights. The lights do shine on my property. They are beyond the limits of what is allowed as of last night. She also installed lights on the rear of my property that she says are garden lights, but she's using them to illuminate my property. They're 7 or 8 feet off the ground. They're 6 feet from my property, and they're used as surveillance lights. They're not pointed at her gardens. I also want to address her plan of logistics. The building logistics are really incomplete in terms of how she intends to dig a foundation back there without machinery, without getting machinery back there. The space between our two houses is less than what is, you can get a machine back there, especially a backhoe. And she can only do it if she chooses to do it by hand. She indicates that she's going to use underneath the porch for construction debris. Well, she has used that in the past for construction debris. Her backyard.
I don't think she represented that, sir. It's where the rubbish for daily, garbage.
Oh, garbage. Well, when there's construction debris, I'm not certain where she plans to do that. Where does she plan to put a dumpster on the property? That I would suggest that is how most construction is done. When you do demolition, that you have to put that somewhere rather than storing it in the backyard, because it's it draws rodents. It's unsightly, and there's not enough. She did plant trees, but there's not enough to cover whatever garbage comes from there.
Understood.
Plus whatever. In the past, she put a new roof on, and debris flies onto other people's property and out onto the street. And I'm just speaking from past experience. And also the length of time. She's started construction on the house. She's been working on the house for 3 years now, so I would hope that whatever construction is approved or whatever addition is approved, that it's done in a timely manner. That's about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Would anybody else like to talk? Okay.
I would just like to say, Mr. Heller, that the photographs that were submitted, since, of course, they'll be part of the record, but if the record's going to close tonight, they're almost, all we have is a representation that they're within 5 to 10 minutes of this property. We don't know where those photos are from.
That's okay. Okay,
As regards encroaching on
ma'am,
Mr. Dean's
no,
territory?
no.
Am I not done? Am I done?
No.
Is that it?
You're finished.
Am I?
Yes.
All right. But I think
You're finished.
Am I?
Yes.
Just because you say so, or could I address the comments of?
You can talk to him. You can talk to him personally, but
No,
not
I never talked to him personally.
Katie says she has the right to address us.
Okay, what do you want to say?
I want to say that Mr. Dean alleges that I'm partly on his property. His lawyer has told him. I have asked him, that my walk is on his property or something. We've asked him to survey his property. If the surveyors find any part of it, I will remove it. He's been asked to survey. His lawyers told him so. I've told him so.
Your own survey shows it.
Right. But those are surveys. The walk is so slender. It's about 1.5 feet. So it's really hard to draw it without just drawing a straight line. And therefore, there's also a tree trunk there. And I have asked him, if he gets it surveyed, this thing is not cemented. I can lift the pavers with my hand. And I have planted so many trees and taken down so many trees for Mr. Dean that he knows that I will pick up those pavers for him, supposedly. I have removed 2 trees for him, planted 10. That's all. Okay?
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, guys, we're closed.
I think so.
Okay.
She won't give us the extension,
She said
so it's
no.
closed.
I asked her about that already. We're closed.
Okay. Let's take a 5-minute break.
Okay, 5-minute break. Fine. Final site plan and special permit, 0 Meadowcroft Lane.
Jim Scatino, architect. We're here representing...
Would you move the phone up?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, representing Jennifer and Kwa Lee.
Did you get the name, ma'am?
Yeah. The owner of the property. It's actually called 0 Meadowcroft, but it's Lot 2, about 300 feet from Grayhampton. And it's 2.65 acres. And we're here this evening for an overage on volume. Basically, we comply with all the zoning setbacks, FAR, height, and any other zoning requirements. Basically, it's, as you know, the allowable volume is 150,000 cubic feet. We have the calculations, James, the calc sheets. We've done our calculations, and our volume, after carefully doing it with the charts, we've come up with 168,373 cubic feet, which is a difference of an overage of 18,373 cubic feet. So we're requesting relief on that. We've submitted the various calculations above.
It's not requesting relief on it. It's just what happens at 150,000 is it creates the need to get a special permit.
Correct,
That's it.
yeah, okay, yeah.
And you're still, so it's like yes or no?
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's all, it's very kind of basic.
Okay, comments? Anybody?
Just a couple of, my curiosity. When you did your FAR calculations, the basement has a number of 0.3, it's to that accuracy.
Yeah.
When you do the first and second floors, you have a plus or minus on it, and I just...
On the FAR, you're
Yeah.
asking, yeah. We have the FAR calcs there.
Why does it,
Why is one so
why is
particularly
one,
accurate?
one
and
is
the
very
other-
precise to the decimal point, the other two, which are relevant, really because this one is not counting the basement.
You have the FAR? Yeah. James, maybe you can answer that one. I just want to make sure I understand. That's FAR or volume? This is volume. The FAR is, it's here, if you keep
Can you
turning.
speak into the microphone?
Yeah, he'll get the FAR calcs. That's that sheet there.
Which one was the plus or minus?
First floor and second floor, both.
FAR?
Yeah. It's just a curiosity
Yeah,
on my part.
yeah.
It doesn't really matter because,
Well, it does matter in a sense because they're very close. They only have
Yeah.
48
Well, that's-
square feet. cushion, and I think they'll have.
Yeah, the cushion it's very close on the FAR. We've calculated. Maybe you can just read them, James. I don't have them. Okay, the gentleman was asking about which floor is that? That's the basement. On the first floor.
See if the basement is to a .3, isn't it? Pretty accurate.
Oh, yeah, you know what, the sums.
No, it doesn't count, but then when you go up to the floors that do count, they are plus or minus, and it just seems kind of
Yeah,
strange.
it's probably just our, yeah, I think you were questioning the symbol there, the plus or minus symbol,
Yeah.
is that, yeah.
I
It's,
think that should be removed, or
Yeah,
and
that'd
at least
be
the
fine, yeah.
correct number should be given on,
Yeah, yeah.
since you are so close.
and I can tell you that those are very accurate because, we do.
Well, plus or minus
said you can
suggests
tell.
they're
But
not.
we can eliminate the plus or minus for the
When you
record.
go for your building permit, since you're within 10%, the zoning enforcement's going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb, so we're just
Yep,
making
yeah.
sure.
Thank you.
You submitted sort of a drawing that purports to be a landscape plan, but there's no types of planting shown, there's no sizes, there's no number.
Yeah,
So-
let's see.
And for some reason, we didn't all get it. I didn't,
It was submitted with.
yeah, it's sometimes,
Yeah, it
you
was
know,
submitted because I
there's
had
so
it
much
in the package.
paper.
It was
sometimes,
actually,
okay,
L2.
I'm sure you did then.
actually the last sheet on the staff
Okay,
report there.
yeah.
Looks like,
341?
L 3.0, is that the landscape plan, James? It's reduced a little bit there.
Is that it, 341?
It says grading plan, the last one, and there's, our landscape architect has done several sheets.
Okay, so
Well, I
maybe,
think the one you might be referring to, 341, which is your site.
Oh,
plan,
341, I'm sorry, yes.
Which is your site plan L 2.0. It's got a lot of
Yeah.
circles drawn. Some of them identified as existing trees, but this, what I think are your new trees.
Yeah.
There's no indication of the number, although, I can count circles, but still,
This
whatever
was,
those trees are, they're not identified either as to type or size.
yeah.
I
These-
just think that should be-
We could notify the landscape architect.
Well-
Here's your drawing, if you want to look at the full-size drawing and not that small one.
and the reason, at least, the reason I was looking at it was,
there
staff
it is.
report says you're taking down 70 trees? 70 trees?
Yeah, I don't have that number, James.
Wow.
It's probably in the staff
Wow.
report.
And do you,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
yeah, you're muttering.
Yeah, Joe Pajonas is the landscape architect who did these site plans. And is there a tree removal plan, James?
So the thing that, I guess, what I'm asking for is that the notes we have say that you're removing 70 trees, and it's not clear how much you're replacing. And I wanted to put in, we didn't get comments from our conservation department on this, so I'm putting in just a plea at this point for trees, native species, and that you.
Why didn't we not get, it's a good point.
I don't know why we
anything
didn't
on
get it, because
conservation?
this is such a significant level of tree change. 70 trees just absolutely blew me away.
Well, we can get our landscape architect to designate a tree removal plan, which is normal, and identify the proposed trees. This document does show proposed.
It does, but
Yeah.
I have no idea what they
Yeah, I
are.
can see if it exists, or he
Yeah.
can provide it, he obviously
Or the,
does.
does it have, I couldn't find this, which was stupid of me, but the calipers?
No, as I say, it doesn't tell you.
No, it doesn't have the
Okay,
legend
so-
on it,
I
yeah.
Doesn't tell you
guess
the number.
one of the things is that, there's large caliper trees, if you could work with your client to see if some of them could be saved.
I don't, I'll certainly,
And if not, if your client would be willing to replace, I see that they're doing some nice screening along the front, but just, I know, and I know a lot of the sites being reworked, most of the sites being reworked. Anyway, just a plea
Yeah,
for
I
trees.
Was there any landscaping requirements as part of the wetland permit?
Well, that's what I have on the back of my mind. I have to contact Joe.
Because there is that pond or lake or whatever
There is.
in the back of the property.
Yeah.
Is the wetland letter in here, Katie? Do you remember?
The wetlands was approved.
No, we're just, sometimes we
Yeah.
get a copy of their letter if it's got any conditions on it.
No, but I think the area for the wetlands just show the existing trees to remain. There's no earthwork or any regrading or anything being done.
Can you speak
back
louder,
there.
Dick?
Sorry. The existing trees are being shown in the area identified on their plan as within the 35-foot wetlands buffer. They're not shown to be removed. I assume that they will remain, because there's no grading or anything going on back there that would cause them to be eliminated.
Make it a condition, that's all. Make your comment as that's all.
And the other issue is that I know you submitted an email and documentation regarding the force main, and
Yes.
that the lawyer and the seller had asserted in their closing contract that all septic components, including a force main and leaching fields, have been removed from the premise. But the only proof is that signed closing contract. Now, staff had gone to the health department today to find out if there had been any permits pulled for that work, so presumably there would be no issue with going and getting all necessary documentation through the health department to get that sorted out and documented correctly, right?
And I think you were reading the same email. We did get health department approval. We did see
For
that
the
letter.
new one.
Well, no, that was for the
It's for the septic
split.
For the
No, for the
septic.
septic on
yeah.
the
Oh, on
new
this
septic.
property,
Yeah,
right.
they have the
Septic
approval.
for this property,
What
yeah.
I
we're
see.
talking about is
Yeah.
the old one that occurred
Right.
during the lot split.
Yeah,
Right.
there was on an old SE minor, I guess this was split.
Right.
In 19
Oh, you need to take the,
I'm sorry, in
Yeah,
1990.
you gotta be good about
Pick it
that.
up.
you can pull it right out if you want.
Okay, thank you. In 1998, I did a little research on this today with the owner. There was just on this area to the north of the property was the forced
Yes.
main, and I contacted the owner, and he basically said that what you said, I guess you had the same email. He spoke to the lawyer, and the seller has asserted in their closing contract that all septic components, including a force main and leaching fields, had been removed from the premises, so we should be fine. The only proof we have is a signed closing contract, but he told me that should be enough for the town if need be.
I would think that you should go back to the health department as part of the process of getting the building permit and what have you,
Yeah.
to just make sure that all Ts are crossed and Is are dotted with that,
Yeah.
because they should have a record, as should we, that it's more than just an email that a closing document says it's fine.
Yeah, I will do that on the
Okay.
routing sheet.
Any other
Yeah.
comments from the commission? No. Anything from the public here? I can't see nobody back there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Shall we, what should we do on this one, guys?
Close it.
I think we're okay to close. Okay, we close. Thank you.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda is 45 Binney Lane, final coastal site plan and special permit.
All right, I've lost my sewer comments for this. Where did I put them?
Evening.
Thank you. I didn't mean to choke you up there, mister.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, Chip Haslam from Johnson, Haslam, and Hogeman. For the applicants, Elliot and Nancy Alcheck. Elliot's here tonight, sitting to my left. Joe Moore, the architect, and Josh Hannon from Attorney DeAndrews' office, the engineer. You may remember this application because this is the first house that burned on Binney Lane in Storm Sandy, and if you remember, 2 other houses caught fire across the street as part of that unfortunate night. And we came before you in 2013 within the year period to get permission to rebuild that house. That was a McKim Mead and White house that was built in 1903. It was a spectacular house, a unique house, but ultimately the Alchecks and Joe Moore decided that it was folly to try to recreate that house, and instead went in a different direction. So that's what's here before you tonight. The application would most likely be exempt from CAM because most of the activity is more than 100 feet from coastal resources, but for the fact we do exceed 150,000 cubic feet of volume. So we have to come in front of you for special permit, so we're doing the site plan for CAM as well. I've reviewed the notes from staff. I think that most of the issues to be responded to are pretty easily addressed, but I'll go through them quickly. I did meet with wetlands today. The 2013 wetlands permit, which was given at that time, not a permit, is a sign-off, is sufficient. There's no wetlands on the
So
property.
you don't need that questionnaire to be done again?
I
like
don't.
that? Okay.
I can give you a copy of the one from 2013, which Doreen gave me today, if you want it for the record, but that was the indication from staff, so I'll give you that. In addition, Josh is here to address any issues about the deep comments from the state, but I think that those comments predated your town engineering comments, and I think that the town engineering comments cover those issues and were required prior to coming in for a special permit. Mrs. Rammer disagrees, so I'll have Josh address those issues in a moment. As noted by staff, we had to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals to get a variance for setback from the street, and also a special exception to rebuild the garage, which we received from the ZBA. There were conditions that were placed upon that approval after negotiations with the neighbors to the north, the Forsters. Very amicable negotiations, but we entered into very specific terms, which the ZBA adopted as part of their approval that night. Most importantly, from the Forsters' position, we agreed to maintain a line of trees along their northerly property line and to construct a wall as well, which will help screen the buildings from their view. In addition, Ann Campbell, who represents the Forsters, had asked me about the location of the generator and how it would be, how sound would be kept under the property, and we gave her a detail of how we're going to lower the generator into the ground and put it into a chamber. She asked that I make that part of the record plan today. The neighbors, the Forsters, have commented they find that is a very elegant solution to the situation. So I think hopefully that resolves that issue with the neighbors too.
Where on this site will that, oh, I see it.
It did move.
I see it already.
It did move.
Oh, it moved.
Initially, we had the generator down in this area.
I think I have the current one that's just off the side of the garage, right?
Yes, it's right here now.
Okay.
It had been down here before.
Press down. They travel at night.
Yes. Pardon me?
These generators move at night.
It's actually, here's the, see from there.
It's off now, that's for sure.
Can you hear it now?
No. Have the green light.
Green light's on.
There you
Okay.
go.
Perfect.
I don't know if you can tell from this detail from that far away, but basically this is the generator and this is the chamber that it'll be depressed into, and that's what was shared with the neighbors, in which they asked, as I said, I give you a copy for the record of the detail.
So
The elevation of the bottom of the generator?
I believe the chamber itself goes down 3 feet, Joe, is that correct? 3 feet.
Elevation compared to the flood zone?
It's above the flood zone.
5 foot.
Is there
Right.
then a wall higher?
It's got to be 2 feet.
Yes, there's a wood lattice.
You have to get on the mic.
The generator for the building code has to be 2 feet above the flood line.
It conforms to that.
Address your-
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm Joe Moore from Joe Moore and Partners Architects. How are you? Thank
Hi.
you. I'll have Josh address it directly too, but the elevation of the generator conforms to the floodplain requirements. And then it brings the fence, I think Richard's question, the fencing, you can see it right here, comes well above the generator height.
I think what I'd like to say to you is that I think you need ink in your printer.
To darken.
I can't read. I was going crazy trying to read your drawings.
I don't.
So.
This could be the case.
I can see that one.
Sorry about that. So the fencing.
That's fine.
Hi, Katie. Sorry. Hi, Peter.
Beautiful.
Okay. Sorry. Hi, Nick. Okay. That should help.
Job, is this using the entire existing foundation?
The new house?
Yes.
So the new house is displaced to near the old foundation, but we were the architects, by the way, of the McKim Eden White House. We did the restoration in 2004 for the Alchecks. And I have a background, as Peter knows, in preservation as well as contemporary design. There was no real way we could rebuild the house from 1910. It would not have that character, so that was what the previous application was about.
I had a question, speaking of the existing, of the old structures. How does that whole water flow with the cottage work? You know how there's a tunnel underneath the cottage? And the tide comes in, and then there's 2 flights of steps? So the water comes flowing underneath the cottage, and if you want to get to the cottage, can you always use those steps, even at high tide?
So let me just help the commission understand, because I believe you're talking about the boathouse, correct?
Well, in our application, it's called the cottage.
It's the boathouse,
Okay,
yeah.
it didn't have boats in it. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I trespassed.
No,
I
no, no.
looked in the window.
It's
It
great.
looked like a cottage where people live. It has a living room. It has a wet bar.
Yeah.
And no, not a kitchen. It's a real wet bar. So that didn't look like a boathouse to me, because there's no way you could put a boat in it.
It actually does have a lift ramp on that right side, so you have to come over. It's original to the house.
You can't get there, because I wasn't
Right.
going to walk down those steps.
Yeah, you have to come around. It is the
I
original.
did come around, but those steps were scary.
It's very dangerous. Yeah,
Yeah.
we probably don't want you running around there too much. But I can help. It's the original structure from 1910, and it was the boathouse to the property, which has a sitting room in it. It has they actually don't use it much because it's not heated or cooled. It's a summer
So
space.
just curious how all that works with the water flow underneath. I was more interested in storm issues there than, I mean, yeah, I know the structure's cool, but I was intrigued by the storm issues
Yeah.
and stormwater management and high tides and all that. That's really what I wanted you to comment on.
Well, I'm not, John Roberge of Race is the coastal engineer, which has been through the town and been approved by the town, and it has all the water calculations for surge protection there.
Okay.
But it's a good question. It does get repaired when there's a major storm.
Ah.
It's not an occupiable space.
Okay, so then this is where I'm going with the question.
Got to come up and speak.
You're clear from the staff report that any significant repair to that cottage, okay, you got it.
Yeah, he understands.
Yeah, it's subject to substantial improvement.
It's subject to, well, he's nodding, he knows where I'm
Right,
going.
but for the record, since we're on the record.
Yeah, we're on the record.
Is subject to substantial improvement. That cottage, I realize it survived so far, but it looked, that's the way I was asking about how that water flow worked, because it's amazing to look at it.
Well, the remarkable thing is the Olczeks were concerned that they were going to lose the boathouse and Sandy if they're going to lose anything.
Right.
So it was kind of ironic that the
when
house
there was
and
a
the
fire.
garage was lost and the boathouse survived.
But that was a fire.
Right.
They
that's
repair
right.
it afterwards?
They did. They lost some shingles on the roof, and it was zoning enforcement got involved in it at that time because they said, is this a substantial improvement? And Jody looked at the situation and basically was resolved by saying it was akin to because it was a boathouse, it had to have a certain relationship to the water, so it couldn't possibly meet the elevations, but he treated it as if it was a garage or storage space that had to meet those requirements. So that's as it exists right now.
I would have a very hard time with that. I don't know if Jody went and looked at it, but that is a living space. It's got a living room, it's got the wet bar. It looks like it has another room, and I'm guessing it has a bathroom.
We're taking the notes to heart on the staff notes and saying if it's damaged again, that issue has to
I
be
mean,
resolved.
but I also have, and I think for the record, our letter to you is going to say that that is not a garage, and it is not a storage space. That is a living space. No question in my mind. Okay, the cottage.
It's labeled a cottage, but it's a boathouse.
No, it's a cottage, okay? Forget the word boathouse. You may be able to put a boat in it, but it has a living room, it has a wet bar. When you're looking through the window, it looks like it has another room off to the side. This is not a storage space.
The tax card says it has 1 bedroom.
There you go. So it is not a storage space. I don't know why the ZEO thought that.
But we weren't involved in it. It
Okay.
predates any of the application stuff you're talking
But
about.
our letter's going to be very clear that this is not storage. This is not just a boathouse, not a garage. This
Well,
is
it's
living.
identified on the site plan as a cottage.
Yes, and in the application.
I would like cleared up. In the ZBA proceeding, this was called a boathouse all the way through the transcript. And in your site plan, it's called a cottage. And I think it ought to be tidy. Is it a boathouse? If it's a boathouse, why is it not called a boathouse?
I have no idea. That's the.
Well, it's, I mean,
Yeah.
okay, but
I've used the terms interchangeably too, Mr. Chairman, because it's part boathouse and it's part cottage. So I've used them relatively interchangeably, but I also use them so to distinguish it from the garage and the space over the garage too.
Yes.
So that was the idea, to make them distinguishable. It was not the focus of anything with the ZBA.
no, it wasn't, but I mean, in terms of the record.
Just clarity.
Yeah.
That transcript of the ZBA proceeding, I believe you uniformly called it a boathouse. And that's why when I was looking at the documents on this application, I couldn't understand. I thought there was perhaps another building.
Well, at times I thought the same thing when I've been preparing the applications for this too, that it's shown up as cottage, and I think of it as boathouse.
Okay.
That's how I first became aware of it.
So,
Secondary.
Yep. Secondary.
Boat, very secondary.
Is there any work being proposed for that building in
No.
this application?
Work has been done, I'm
not-
sorry.
But whether it's been done or not is kind of irrelevant. I'm concerned about this
But there's
application.
no work being done going forward, right?
Correct. We retiled the roof after Sandy.
The whole inside's been repaneled.
Okay. There was that. There was a drawing which, apropos of the last project that we had before us, it has a bunch of circles on it. Looks like it's a landscape plan, but doesn't tell us very much about species, number, heights, and so forth. So I think that should be completed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
You have a problem with that?
No.
Okay.
The arbor, I couldn't find any drawings on it. I don't know if it's in the architect's plans. Could be. They're too hard for me to read, but there's space in there that's being counted towards your FAR. So is there enclosed space at the arbor?
We decided to be more conservative on that by including it, but Job, do you want to address that? Can you describe the nature of the arbor?
So the arbor as in over by the barbecue area, correct? This structure.
It's the only one I could find.
So this does not count towards FAR because we're not enclosing the top of that, but we included it just in case.
Okay, because it did get included, and I just wondered why.
Because the way they did, if you ask the town for the interpretations, if there's any degree of enclosure, even a fabric, it can be interpreted towards FAR.
I always thought that something like that, if it's truly open, is it open on all four sides?
All three sides.
Three.
Yeah. And it really is even open above. This is the barbecue kind of high wall that blocks to the back of the neighbor. Yeah. So we just included it.
Okay.
Okay, we have a.
Anything else on this?
Yeah, I've got stuff. We have a comment here that the plans that you submitted to ZBA are not the same date as the plans that we have.
Plans that there have been changes made to the site plan. They have been reviewed with the zoning enforcement officer. They're minor changes that do not require us to go back to the ZBA, but I'll have Mr. Moore run through those for you if you'd like.
Now, as long as they don't affect the approval and you're willing to go on record that they're consistent with what ZBA did, I think we're comfortable.
I think they should detail that because
Okay.
conditions are approved.
I think that, in response to that really quick, that the conditions from ZBA, can be included into the conditions here. When it comes to the modifications to the house and to the garage, I did talk to Jody briefly today about the garage, and I looked at the plans just to confirm that they were essentially the same thing, which they were. There was a deviation of around 9 square feet on the actual FAR of that. He said in this situation, he didn't feel like that was an issue since it's not an FAR variance and it wasn't really part of the contention of the size of it. As for the house, when it does go through zoning, they do verify that it is essentially the same plans. And if there's any drastic changes in them, then they may look at them differently. However, minor modifications to the way that it's designed shouldn't affect their approval in the end.
Just to clarify, there isn't even a nice.
Please, want to say something? Come on.
Actually, on the clarification on the FAR, the 9 square feet difference is just a rounding issue, that's all it is. The plans haven't changed per se. And otherwise, Joe, why don't you address the 3 items that we changed from the ZBA approval, so.
It's on the record.
Yes.
So, Mr. Moore will hand out the plan showing the 3 changed areas.
In the meantime, while he's doing that, if you could help me out, because I'm going to forget one of the addresses, but there's about to be construction across the street at 44.
property. We are the architects for that as well.
At 44.
Yep.
There's construction at 55, and I believe there's construction about to start at 36.
Well, 36 just happened to be, looked like it was a vacant lot in 2013
What's
from
your-
an
what's
aerial.
your
I don't
point?
know.
My
There's no.
point is that it's a very narrow street, and it's tight. And I think that there's got to be a way of, we've got to ask if there's a coordination, especially since you're the architect across the street. If all of these projects happen at the same time, it's going to make everybody nuts in the neighborhood. So there's got to be a way to work with the neighbors, and because it's just such a small, tight area.
The fortunate thing, though, is that even though it's in the R12, the lots, most of these lots are oversized. This lot, for instance, is over an acre, and most lots on the street are. So that allows a lot of on-site storage. However, I also want to point out that the neighborhood has been remarkable in getting along with each other. Actually, the Allchecks have dinner with, on the anniversary of Sandy, with 2 of the neighbors that also lost their houses. So everyone kind of is in the same
So,
boat.
but I'm thinking it's the truck traffic that I'm the most worried about.
Yes.
You remember on Simmons Lane, we encountered the same kind of issue.
So what should help is there's actually 3 accesses from the street. There's Ford, there's Sullivan, and there's Binney.
Right.
So there are 3 ways in. The Mullins property is accessed from Ann Street, right?
Yeah.
The Foresters project is accessed from,
You can get to Mullins from the other side as well.
get from, all of these properties can become from either Ann Street or from.
This is
I think
really,
your caution is well taken.
Yeah.
no, but I want to hear how they're going to address it, Donald.
So there is access from Ann Street, Ford Street, Binney Street, and Sullivan Street. So
Okay.
there's a matrix, a 9 square or 6 square kind of possibility of
No,
movement.
Donald, I want to hear the whole answer.
Yeah, but,
I want to hear the whole answer, Donald.
go ahead.
So they're also, just to follow up in terms of the sequencing of the houses, the Mullins house is starting now. The old Hirschhorn estate is nearing completion.
55.
And, correct. And this project won't start until mid-spring next year.
Okay, but I think we're going to ask you, I'd like to ask you
Thank
in
you.
the letter that you make sure that it's phased in a way that people can get in and out of their houses during the day.
The neighborhood associations, there are 3 there, are in talk and conversation about that. We, of course, can't mandate to them, these are private roads, but we
Oh, no, but
can
I
certainly
just-
make recommendations or discussions about sequencing.
All right, I'm happy.
Okay, any comments, any more?
I just have any more questions. I don't know. Richard, are you done?
Yeah, he's done.
I am.
Okay. I read the ZBA transcript, so I just had a couple of questions. Sorry. Had a couple of questions about that. I think at the early part of the transcript, it said the new garage/studio was going to be 810 square feet.
Remember,
Can I?
It's going to be 1,400.
1,400.
The 800, I just wanted to comment, because I did read the same thing, and I did panic when I first saw that, and did follow through, and found later in the transcript a note of 1429. So I went and pulled the ZBA file, and it was for 1429 or something along those lines.
So
And
the
I talked to
810
Joe.
was-
810 was a mistaken.
a misspeak.
Misspeak by, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Is it possible to somehow relabel that cottage as at least /boathouse or something to?
No, I want to keep it labeled as cottage, Nancy, I really
But-
would.
Well, there's a transcript that says it's a boathouse. I'm sorry.
I got you, Nancy. I
So
understand.
if it's just slashed, so it says
Good.
both, so.
Got it.
that's fine.
So there's no ambiguity about the number of buildings.
So cottage/boathouse.
And all those
Well, you can say
conditions.
boathouse/cottage if you like.
Anyway.
Or the other way around.
Just both.
Debate it.
Let's see. The Goucher piece on this, I thought, I don't believe that Mr. Goucher's concerns have been shared with DPW. Is that correct?
I don't believe that's correct. I think you'll see that the email actually to Mark is copied to Scott as well.
I'm just looking at a 6/3 email.
Yes, it's 6/3/2015, so this would predate actually Scott's comments, and it's from John Gauscher to Josh at who's here tonight, and copy to Mark and to Scott Marucci. So that's 6/3.
So you're saying he saw the comment?
Correct.
Well, this is my concern here is, I understand there's a compliance with the town drainage manual, but I think we're all aware that there are drainage problems, in fact, on some of the newer properties. So I think that this language in his comments, the mottling suggests a very slow draining restrictive layer. He obviously has, and he talks about the inconsistency between some sort of a manual that gets used and the borings that were taken on this property. And, it does not appear that some of the proposed stormwater management plan elements can simply be modified to significantly increase their effectiveness. Mr. Goucher gives us comments on every waterfront property.
Right.
He is extremely light-touched, in my opinion. He's given us mostly, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. So when he states a concern of this ilk, I think we are responsible to the neighbors to pay attention to it.
I suggest to have Josh address your comments,
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, if I could. Thank you. Josh Hannon.
Josh Hannon, professional engineer. We from Rocco DeAndrea. We recognize that it's a difficult site to work with, and we're very limited with what we can do as far as drainage. However, the system does meet the requirements of the town drainage manual, as you said, and we were actually improving conditions. Previously, before the house burned down, the drainage for the house and driveway was collected and put into a system similar to what we're proposing, and that functioned with no issues. That old system.
Why don't you take the microphone with you?
I'm sorry. This system.
Pull it out.
Pull it out. The existing system was right about here, so it's in the same general location, same type of units that were being used before. The soil conditions are difficult where there's ledge in the middle of the site and high groundwater. There's a little bit more soil. There's ledge and in the middle of the site and high groundwater within about 2 feet, 3 feet from the surface. There's more soil in this portion of the property, so that's why we're proposing it in that location. As far as impacts to the neighbors, we're actually reducing the amount of runoff going onto neighbors' properties. We're picking it up with a catch basin there in the driveway, trench drains in the going out to the street, and both this system and the rain garden will have high overflows. So any additional water after the system fills will go right into the sound.
Have you had any discussions with Mr. Goucher regarding?
I responded to him with an email in response to these comments, and I've met with Scott a couple times on this, and he's aware of the conditions of the soil.
Did Mr. Goucher respond to you?
No.
And you sent it to him when?
It was, I think, the day after he sent it, so.
This goes back to the 1st of June.
Right, correct.
Can you summarize your big points, that you're in the XO, that you are increasing the amount of drainage?
Can you speak from the...
Yeah, I just wanted to summarize his point.
No, you need to.
I know, but you're so...
Yeah,
Okay, well, we are in the X zone. We've filed for a conditional LOMAR to remove a portion of the site from the floodplain, from the AE zone. So these systems are located in the flood zone. I'm sorry, these proposed systems are located in the flood zone, but that doesn't have an impact on how they function. When there's a large storm event, this whole area is going to be underwater, so any type of system, whether it's a rain garden, dry wells, they're going to be inundated, neighbors too. So we feel that there will be no impacts. As far as the rain garden goes here, we weren't able to dig a test pit, but the soil is generally the same as...
Why not?
There's a tennis court here and a fence.
Right, and it looks like it's being used.
There's a tennis court and there's a fence and a few trees, and we weren't able to get around those with the machine. So Scott's aware of that, and he told us that we could dig a test pit prior to building permit.
Could you just, sir, could you just comment on the fact that you're taking down 27 trees? Is it really because of the construction that you're removing the trees, or what is it?
They're gone. There's,
Yeah.
It's nothing.
We
It's gone.
can't ask them to
But about that tennis court, it's going to be removed, right?
Yes.
So why couldn't you drill a test hole because it was there?
They have to dig it.
We just didn't. We
Okay.
can certainly...
I mean, you're removing the tennis court. The tennis court looks like it's being used currently, but you're supposed to remove it, so why wouldn't you be able to dig it, do the research?
It was, well, I guess we could have done that. There was, I mean, it's a large fence and there were several trees, and we didn't want to disturb the site without the owner being aware of it.
He hired you to do the engineering.
Well, and they got Scott's approval to wait until
Right.
building permit.
We've talked to Scott about this, and he's aware.
Are you doing the sewer work as well?
There's a sewer lateral.
Yeah, and
And
did
then-
you see the comments from our sewer department on it?
I don't think we got
Okay, I
comments
think
as
that
I'm
you
aware.
could work with him on it, because what he says is that not to use a shared lateral. You're giving it to him? But he says if they're for the sole use of the owners, and it's not, the cottage isn't going to be rented out, the cottage boathouse isn't going to be rented out, that they should be able to work it out. And then the other thing is this, the 4-inch PVC on the sewer lateral is not acceptable.
Okay, well, we can certainly put a new 6-inch pipe out to the street. And we can meet whatever comments that he's made as far as separate laterals.
I think,
No, you're supposed to use
I
a
think we
Schedule
have it
40
covered.
pipe.
Okay.
I'm being told that a
Good question,
6-inch
Ray.
pipe is
Good
not a
question.
Schedule 40.
Schedule for.
you have more?
We're showing a PVC pipe, and Schedule 40 is a PVC pipe. I can be more clear in our specifications.
Okay.
You have had no further dialogue with Mr. Goucher on this since, I mean, these comments are very detailed. They're, I think, alarming. And as I said, he rarely expresses himself in this way. So I feel as though you ought to be going back to him and finding something closer to what he's...
Well, you want to respond to this? You want to respond to that?
I did respond to him. I have not heard anything back from him since I did respond. But like I said before, this system is very similar to what's existing there.
But there's 4,000 square feet more of house there now.
Right, I understand. And we are meeting all the requirements for water quality in regards to the town drainage manual. And all excess runoff that is being collected goes right to the sound. So no runoff under proposed conditions goes to any neighbors or onto the street.
Okay. Any other comments?
Have it from the public.
Anything? No public here, I don't think. Okay. We close. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Thanks, ma'am.
Someone may have left their purse.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Wait a minute.
It could be
Tomorrow.
Give it to Miss, please give it to her. Ms. DeLuca.
Can we have that checked by the police department quickly, please?
Okay, the first item, as you would expect, is 19 Division Street.
Is it hers? I can tell Patrick now. Is it hers?
Guys,
Now, on 19 Division Street, that's where Ms. Raymer is for health, so you're voting on this.
Yes.
Okay. So I have to keep, I should keep silent now,
once it's closed, yeah.
except I'll be
Unusual.
cautionary in terms of how we write this up.
I don't think you can do, I think once it's closed,
It's closed down.
it's closed.
Yep. Yeah, well, I'm saying that. I'm talking about the
No,
the what?
I don't think you can comment on the write-up or what,
Right.
anything.
That's right, Don.
It just, because
He will do it.
it's,
I just want to help.
Once it's closed, only the seated members can speak, once it's closed.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Okay.
Excuse me, I would make, to Dick Maitland chair this part of the meeting, to call on anybody if has any comments.
okay, on just this item.
Yes, of course.
All right. Anybody got anything to say?
Yeah, go ahead. No? Do you?
I just want to understand how we're approaching this.
Well, I think we're approaching it is that we have an application in front of us, and there are no extensions. I mean, we had to close it this evening, so we must. If we don't want to vote on it, we could do this. If we don't want to vote on it tonight, if we wanted some time to think about it, we could do that.
I would like to vote on it tonight.
Okay.
I would like to
So if
vote
you
on
want to
it.
vote on it tonight,
Yes.
then we can have a discussion about
We can
it.
ask the others what they want to do.
Well,
Sure.
Okay.
so that's what we're going to do, is make a decision to either approve it or not to approve it. And if we approve it, then it would be with, I assume, a number of conditions. And if we don't approve it, then we don't approve it. If it fails to carry the,
I see no reason to have any conditions. I think we should just have a yay or nay.
a what?
I think we should have a yay or nay vote. I don't understand what conditions might there be.
You'd have to make, someone has to make a
Oh, well.
motion.
I think there have been so many rejections of our offer of assistance and help and explanation to this applicant, which he has unilaterally and insisted on rejecting. Personally, I don't see how we could conceivably approve something where she has adamantly said that she's not going to live up to our, when I say our regs, state and town regulations. So I think at this point, it's okay to say how I would vote on it. I would vote against.
Anyone else want to comment?
Agrita? Nope.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
I'm going last.
Oh, you can't, because I'm going last.
One of you go last.
All right, the rest of you guys.
Well, I certainly agree with Fred.
Stop right there.
I don't have to say anymore. We can. But, no, I think that there's simply very little for us to do here to help her out, because she doesn't want our help.
Well, okay.
So-
I'll say, I'm left still, but forget the issue of helping or not helping. Somebody said that we were very objective and during the break, and that, that they felt that we had been objective the whole time. What bothers me is that we still have incomplete information. I know that the transcript for the last time has the FAR issue. We covered it again today. The FAR issue hasn't been addressed. Really, the two things that bother me the most is we're adding space to this house, and it can't really accommodate on the parking. and it's being increased. And the other thing is this issue of the FAR and also of the light trespass, that over and over again we keep raising these questions and they're still not answered. And that's where I come out, that I think they're significant enough on the 617 side.
I'm sorry.
Well,
On the 617 side, on the special permit.
I think, but as to the parking, I mean, the only standard for parking is the number of bedrooms, and they haven't increased, so that's, I don't think that's a big issue. The only thing that I think we could say on the parking is that she is not permitted to park in the front yard per the regulations. So that's, I think, on that issue. Other issues are still other issues.
Personally, I don't think that we help the town's case or ours in a matter that she has told us, I'm not opining, that she's going to take it to court. Whether she will or not, I don't know.
Well, I don't think that's relevant to,
but we're discussing.
We are, but it's
And I'm
still.
simply suggesting that there are so many violations here, so many refusals to follow our regulations, that I think anything else becomes academic. I don't see how we can possibly, even leaning over backwards if we wanted to, I'm not saying we do, approve an application that's so deficient.
It's one of the questions that you had posed to her was, would she be putting the missing information on the plans? And the answer was no, she didn't believe that it was required, so it's not.
That's only one of about 10 examples.
But no, her issue was that our regulations weren't relevant to her purpose. And that disturbs me a great deal. I'm very open to listening to different opinions on this, because I do want to be helpful to individuals, but.
Well, I'd like to call the question.
Well,
In the matter-
Nancy
I'm sorry,
and
Nancy, I
Richard
didn't-
haven't
I mean, I
spoken.
think in the matter of deficiencies, we should maybe be somewhat clear what we're talking about. Clearly, there were the deficiencies of the stairway to the attic, which could have possible FAR implications. There were issues regarding the basement calculations, which does in fact have FAR conditions.
And this is on the June 2 plans, correct?
As to the most recent plans, yes. As to the amount of FAR in the building. Her methodology in calculating the FAR is questionable, and she said that she wouldn't consider changing it for this purpose.
And the other issue is the inconsistency with the site plans, the existing and the proposed site plans. And I think to Mr. Brooks's point, that when you're asked to determine whether something complies with the regulations, and there's sets of plans and bits of information that conflict with each other within the proposal, and a clear statement that there's no plan to change those inconsistencies, we're left with an application, a record of what we have before us now.
What are we proposing? I mean, the dates on the drawings are causing great confusion as to exactly what's there, and I think, the dates on the drawings indicate one thing is an existing condition, which is an earlier date, or is a later date than the one which is the proposed condition, which is an earlier date, which makes no sense and therefore is very difficult to follow. This is a tight urban site, and I think that those things should be clear.
Chairman, I think
she indicated
built a record. We built a record here through her recording of this, but most importantly, our official record, which lays out all these things where she has blatantly and absolutely refused to accept our regulations.
I understand that,
So,
but
I don't know what
we're in the process of discussion now, and I think that Nancy's asked to speak last, so.
I think
it's
Nancy
just,
should definitely speak.
Richard,
Nancy, speak.
Richard, go
Richard,
ahead.
are you done?
You done?
I don't think so. Are you?
Yeah, I'm done enough.
Well, actually, I had a question for Richard, which was, on what he said was, do you see a way, if it was approved, do you see it as being possible to condition this such that our regulations could be met and 617 could be satisfied as regards the neighborhood and as regards not materially adversely affecting the residential area.
I think those issues are almost moot. The additions to the back, it's well within the side yards and rear yards and everything. I don't think it affects streetscape, and nothing about this application affects that.
Well, I'm talking about, every single time we've been here, we've had neighbors.
That's another issue.
raising issues.
That's on issues of the lighting and so forth, which she continues to. One of the neighbors testified that as of last night, the light was still shining on his property and not in compliance. And so I think these are things which.
But see, that's
it's
part
had such
of.
a long time to resolve it. It's very frustrating to.
See, that to me is part of the special permit consideration, is that there not be an adverse
fine.
impact on the neighbors.
Okay,
And it
well.
doesn't just mean, is the addition only on the back? It also means, are you adversely affecting the neighbors? 61711,
No, I understand.
D11.
Both sides of
Why don't we let Nancy speak?
Okay, Nancy.
She asked me to finish, and I sort of said yes, and then
Counselor.
Marguerite jumped in there and
I did.
filled the gap.
I think that this woman's principal problem is that she hasn't got an advisor. She is acting on her own, and she lacks some knowledge about this application.
Okay.
That pertains to conditions that
Okay.
are outside of this application.
All right.
So she is trying to put an addition on which appears to me to be within our zoning rules.
Except for the FAR question.
The FAR puts her at possibly over 90%, but I don't think there's any risk that it will take us over 100%, and I think we can put language in that says if it takes her to over 100%, she's got to reduce the plan. I mean, we've done that before, so my view is that all of this is solvable by saying these are the conditions. She's got to do correct calculations of the FAR for the zoning permit. That is ahead of her. She'd have to do that under all circumstances. So she's told us where the rubbish is going now. I mean, there's shrubbery going in. The violation on the front has been taken out. This has not been an easy road, but I think that I see this as within the parameters of something we can approve with very clear and specific and careful conditions. So
I'm not so optimistic. I don't feel that it's our job to rationalize what she has not done. I believe that she has, as the applicant, the responsibility to fulfill her obligations to submit an application that meets our regs, and she has not. And there's no way to evaluate it. There's simply no responsible way, as far as I'm concerned, to evaluate this application in the state it's at, and given all the information that we've had, and we've had more patients here than we show other people in trying to get information, and it's not forthcoming. And that's also an indication that that gives me no confidence that this application has any viability.
At the risk of being repetitive, I'd just like to say that I don't see how we can possibly approve an application that is deficient on the face of it. And all I've heard this evening, and on the 3 or 4 times we had it before, pointing out her deficiencies, and her stated strong language, she's not going to correct it, she's not going to do anything about it.
All right. Anybody else?
Well, okay, hold on a second, because I want to kick this around with Fred a little bit. So because I'm struggling. So sometimes we say to people, you've got this problem with the sewer department, but we think you can address it before you know, and get your building permit. Or we think there's a small factor in your FAR. I mean, this is the point that Nancy's making. And so the question is, where we're split is, can we, where we give people the opportunity to go rectify something. If we give her, she's not going to get a building permit unless she gets this stuff rectified.
Margarita, I think you make some good points. I disagree with most of them, but I'm
Okay.
sure they're from goodwill and kindness. I'm saying to you that
I'm trying to be objective, really, I'm trying really hard.
We have given her every opportunity. We have pointed out, we have asked her to make certain markings on various plans. She has adamantly refused to do them. There is no reason why we should have any credibility or place any credibility in what this woman intends to do. And you could say, well, we can let it go to the building department or whatever. That could be true on practically every application that we turn down. You can say, well, they'll lose it to the building department or whatever. Our job is to look at applications, there are certain standards, and to see whether they're adequate on the face of them. This application, I mean, Dick listed, I think, failure after failure after failure of this applicant. And she has demonstrated, at least to my satisfaction, and I hope to others, because I'd like to see a unanimous opinion here, since I think, frankly, that this is going to go to court. And I would hate to see a split. But
That's right, let's see if we can find some common ground here.
well, I think the common ground is turn it down. She's a citizen, she has a right to go to court. There are some times that you need a judge who will make a determination.
She has also a right to go to the zoning board of appeals.
She can go to zoning, well, on certain.
Well, not on the site plan. I mean, if.
Only certain things.
Right, I
But
mean,
whatever. Let's not define her rights. The point is, she has rights. She can go up, she can do whatever she wants, which is what she has threatened to do. And I suggested, I won't resent it, that's what she wants to do, and if a judge tells us that we're wrong, or misinterpreting the rules, or wants to unilaterally, as courts sometimes do, change, I don't mean to get too political at this point, change regulations or read them in a different way, then this commission, this town will be bound by that.
Do you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I did just want to say, and I think, Mr. Brooks, you've basically said it, but we have a set of building zone regulations that everyone.
You can call me Fred.
That everybody has to comply with, and the difference here, I think, Margarita, to what you were saying, the difference here is it's been made very clear on the record that she's in disagreement with the requirements of the regulations, and she's no intention of complying with them. So.
Okay, and everybody else we've talked to tonight,
When you do a subject to, right, it's an agreement that
Come on,
will
Dick,
be.
make a motion, would you please?
That'll be done at zoning permit time.
Okay.
All right. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Nancy,
I
would you
will-
like to make a motion?
All right, let's try it this way. Would someone choose to make a motion to approve this? Absent hearing from anybody else, I'll make the motion to approve the final site plan and special permit. Will someone second?
I decline to second this.
I'll second it.
I'll second.
Okay.
All in favor of approving it, say aye.
Is that without?
There's a motion to approve.
And what about conditions? We got to have conditions.
Margarita, come on, you know where this is
No.
going.
All right.
Nancy, you got to do it right. Nancy, do you want to make it?
Do I
Right.
want to set the?
Do you want to make the
recite
motion?
the conditions?
Right, what would the conditions be?
Oh my God. Hold on. I mean, honestly, I'm not accustomed to reciting the conditions. I can identify the areas that need completion, but I would not be doing this properly. I mean, Richard, I know, I don't know what your opinion is, but I would ask you to state the conditions.
Okay, the conditions
Now I'll help you.
that would, for approval would be the completion of the existing drawings to represent the actual conditions of the property.
Inter alia.
And the completion of the correct dimensions in the basement and in the FAR calculations and the methodology of calculating the FAR.
I'm sorry, I'm just got confused. The first one you said, so it's showing the existing conditions on the proposed plan.
Existing conditions of the house correctly.
Right, okay, I'm sorry, I thought I heard something different.
More specifically, the stairs.
Well, I'm not going to just
Okay,
say
all right.
correct.
Okay.
I mean, the transcript certainly has got all the things that we talked about, but that would be one of the conditions. The second condition would be the correct calculation of the FAR, the methodology used in calculating it. The next condition would be a compliance with any other staff and departmental comments. The condition would be that parking not be permitted in the front yard, that the plans be complete in the nature of having the name of the project, the name of, and the address of the project shown properly on the drawings.
You said calculation of FAR, right?
Yes.
Light trespass.
The correction of the light trespass.
And when you were talking about the FAR correctly, that would include showing the stairs from the basement to the attic, since that
Well,
would...
that's first of all showing the existing drawings correctly, so we know how people circulate in the house, up and down.
And as
So-
well as correcting the error with how the basement, when the basement is subtracted from the number, that it was done in the wrong sequence.
As
I think
per the
other-
zoning
CEO.
enforcement comments.
One of the other thing is to complete the drawings in accordance with our standards under, I believe it's section 614, where certain townwide notes and so forth are shown properly on building plans and then on site plans.
Right.
I think those would be the conditions that I can think of.
ZEO
Okay.
issues be resolved.
Well, the ZEO, yeah. So and it's been
Shall we
moved
take
and
a vote?
seconded?
It
Who
was
seconded it?
Was seconded.
Nancy?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No.
Nay.
So
was it
that is
4-1?
1-4. Okay. A motion to deny. Does anybody want to make that motion?
Why don't you make it? I'll be happy to second that one.
I would move that the application be denied for the reasons stated in the transcript of the meeting.
And I second.
All in favor? I'm sorry?
Yeah, and just to reiterate, if you could, the issues related to the incompleteness or the issues...
You need to say-
Well, there are all of those issues, the incompleteness of the drawings, the unwillingness of the applicant to change the drawings to make them complete and compliant with town standards. And I think that in and of itself is enough. It's just her refusal to comply with town standards.
Add the words inter alia, and you got it.
But I
don't know
think,
what that
again, the
means.
point
Among
about
other
the
things.
FAR.
Don't you speak Latin?
Basis of the FAR.
I barely speak English.
I think we have a vote on this.
Yes, we
We
do.
have a motion and a second.
And I
Do we have
second.
enough for the conditions? All right. All in favor of denial?
I vote in
Aye.
favor of denial.
That's 4, and 1 opposed.
Okay, so,
Motion denied.
I told you I'm giving you. she's-
Okay, let's go to Meadowcroft Lane. Comment on Meadowcroft Lane.
Okay.
we left Westway open, right? Did we leave Westway open?
Well, Westway
Oh,
should have been
Westway, we already
approved. That
did.
was in the
We
site
already
plan.
did it. I'm sorry. That was
So,
already done.
Meadowcroft is, I would move the approval of the final site plan and special permit for this project. The applicant has agreed to correct the FAR numbers on the project, so they are proper. We have IWWA approval, we have approval of DPW and the Department of Health to go ahead on this project. I think we need to get a confirmation, hopefully from the Health Department, that the force main has been removed from the project. We should have the applicant try to come up with a determination on that. And lastly, that the landscaping plan be completed as to all the materials.
Okay, just so you guys know, on this, because we didn't get conservation comments and they're removing the 70 trees and we don't have a detailed landscape plan, I'm not ready to vote on this. I don't see this as, because of the large number of trees.
But we've closed on it. We can't
I'm
give
not
any more
ready to
information.
vote on it. Yes, we can, because conservation
Yeah, you can
is
still get a
a
report from
town
conservation.
department, and I,
I don't think, I know you've done it in the past, but the applicant doesn't have a chance to respond to the comment.
all right, okay, so, because the applicant doesn't have a chance to respond, so let me add this then in the motion, that that the applicant provide a detailed landscape plan and
what I just
address
said.
the removal of the trees, and work with the conservation department to get their comments in the development of the landscape plan. And they make a nice landscape plan.
And I second.
There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm unhappy, though.
Aye. Okay, let's go to Binney Lane.
Okay,
Let's all go to Benny Lane.
all right.
Do you all want to discuss this before we do a motion on it or something? Because I'm prepared to do a motion.
I think I
just
accept
wanted
that.
to
Ready for a
comment
motion?
That given all that the applicant had to go through, I'm very anxious to vote on this so that they can go forward.
Oh, that's nice of you.
Don't get all burned up, you know.
But, okay.
See, the only question is, do we want to take any more discussion or go right into the motion?
Just the motion.
No, I'm comfortable.
Let's go into the motion.
All right, and I'm
No
going
one else wants to
Go.
discuss it? Okay.
to, okay, go ahead.
I
I'm
would
gonna
move the
jump in.
approval of the final site plan and special permit with the following conditions. Number one, that the applicant shall continue to work with DEEP and to resolve any matters that, to the satisfaction of DEEP. While we understand that the town drainage manual is satisfied, I think that we should have the applicant work further with DEEP and get that matter resolved. I think all of the conditions contained within the zoning board of appeals should just be a part of our incorporated. Thank you. I think that, again, the landscape plan on this was not complete, and I think they should complete the landscape plan. Again, if you wish, also have conservation review it.
Happy camper. The notes on, go ahead.
They said they got approval from IWWA. I think we should just have a copy of that in the record, that the approval they originally had is still sufficient for this application. Just have it for the record. And
And when you're talking about conservation reviewing these plans, that is to look and ensure that there's native species?
Well, I think
Exactly.
yeah.
Plan heights are correct?
Plant heights are
things-
good,
things
native
along those
species, and where possible, that a larger caliper tree is going in and
Okay.
not just the, the
Commission.
arborvitaes.
Okay.
But I think, again, staff would have to do that.
This is,
Because it can't, it's not going to come
you
back to
told
us.
when you review with staff, tell them we have a criticism here. In 2 cases, we didn't have proper,
Maybe a way.
in the application,
Right.
proper environmental analyses
Right.
to the application.
Right, but since you're making it as a condition, I just want to know the extent of what their.
Yeah,
their,
exactly what you
No, I
said.
just said work with. I mean, that's what
And
we usually say.
And I went on to say native species, to the extent that they can put in larger caliper trees to replace tree removal, and adequate screening, and also the, I forgot.
Salt-resistant plants.
Exactly,
Right.
but that they work with all of that.
Okay, thank you.
I think they said that there's no work being done in the cottage, and they are aware of the fact that any work would have to comply with substantial completion requirements.
And if you don't mind, Richard, to this, I would add, whereas the commission notes that the cottage has, a living space, 1 bedroom, a bathroom, and a wet bar, and that no work is being proposed.
And do you want it renamed cottage/boathouse?
Whatever you want.
Boathouse, yeah.
The sewer lateral?
I think that'll be worked out with them when they go for the
Whereas the
permit, so.
commission notes, one other whereas for us is that Aquarian has signed off on the water demand. And just if we would note that. And then the last thing is the thing we discussed, the 617 consideration, that the construction be managed within the neighborhood to not create undue problems.
I object to that. I
It's
think-
part of 617. It's part of the special permit requirement. But we did it on Simmons Lane very specifically. We have very strong precedent on this on Simmons Lane. It was our main objection. We had a
But there we
huge
had
objection.
neighbors particularly objecting.
I know that, but we are within
I
our
don't wanna
rights to
get
do
into-
this.
think
I
it's-
realize that, but
I
we are
think it's-
within our
Let me give
rights.
my opinion then.
Okay.
I think it's implied that we've got to call it to your attention, otherwise you may not be good boys.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. It's not professional.
What if,
I think the applicant said, though, that there are 3 different neighborhood associations that they're going to have to satisfy, so I don't know that,
should we, what about a whereas clause where it states what was represented on the record?
Acceptance.
Yeah.
All the other
Okay.
people are accepted in the association.
Referring to the record,
Referring to the record that they would,
referring to the record.
You know, I
Did
don't
they
have any
hurt-
problem telling people that they need to make sure that they're good boys, and I don't think that they
I don't
mind
think
my
that's our-
saying that.
I don't think it's our role to sit
Yes, it
there.
is, because it's in our
Okay, well, let's decide
regulations.
it.
okay, well,
You want to take a vote on that alone?
That it's in our regulations, I can read you the section of our regulations that say that.
just say, why don't you quote the section and say they shall comply with that?
617D11.
right, and it sounds like everyone is in agreement that if there was a whereas clause in the letter just stating that the applicant represented, they would
Yeah.
do it properly.
Yeah.
And
They would work with their neighbors and
Right.
work with the neighborhood
Sounds good to me.
associations. What more can we get tonight?
You got it.
Okay.
I'm good.
That's my motion, I think.
And I seconded that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And I move that we adjourn.